On point, he says, except I didn't put the little logo transition up this evening. So we're in now.
What's up,
Oh,
guys? How we doing?
hi.
We are we're doing things a little bit differently today.
What? What do you
I know, right?
mean?
Is it that Kermit does?
Right? Yeah. Everything's fine. In case many of you have not heard at this point, there's a hurricane barreling its way through Florida right now, which means our lovely friend Misfit has an uncertainty on if she'll have power or internet or any of that. She said it's super scary outside, but she is safe at the moment, and she'll be hanging out and chat as much as she can. But with that being said, and I know we kind of left off on a cliffhanger last week, we're gonna kind of do like a little roundtable discussion forum, whatever your favored term for that.
Retrospective.
Yeah,
Just gonna ramble for 2 hours.
yeah. Mainly because I don't want her to miss out on the creativity and the fun of what the next session is going to be.
It would not be
So,
fitting for Misfit to miss that
true,
session.
true. And you know, it's been a minute. We've had what 23 sessions, and we haven't done like a mid
Life
campaign
crisis.
crisis evaluation. But we will get to that in just a moment. We'll let Rob kind of go over all of his announcements and go from there.
Short list announcement-wise tonight. First of all, and importantly, thank you, Sheepish Lamb, for your customary cheer well before the actual start time of the evening. Also, thank you to... Oh, I don't even have the... I'll try and get the follower goal up here, because we're pretty close, but it's not ready yet. Thank you to Blazing Shadow, to Zuka Zamami, to Shere Khan Rainstorm, and Kung Fu Mumu Cow for the follows. Thank you for supporting this channel. Welcome to the party. If you are joining us this evening, welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, welcome to That Dude Daniel, Evelyn May Cosplay, Sheepy, and Dancer Hawk for joining us in the chat tonight. Thank you guys for being here.
I love you. It was all names that I'm like, oh, I know that person.
It's nice when I love it when anybody is watching us, but it does especially feel good when it's the people
When you have
people you
regulars
know and they come
coming.
back. Yeah.
It's like a familiar face in a strange place.
It's weird that I continually refer to people by their old screen names. Like, Robert Top is Robin, as far as I'm concerned. Not 49ers Steve Young is Dancer to me still.
It wouldn't be cosplay prep without watching MMG.
There you go. What kind of shirt are you wearing there, Rob?
You know, one that declares we're the smart ones, you know. If you haven't seen it, it is our that's why we're the smart ones shirt.
That's why we're the smart
weirdly
ones.
enough, Sawyer is missing from that second silhouette there.
Well, you know, the silhouette.
It's fine.
The silhouette it's kind of tall, so it's fine.
Yeah, it counts. It's close enough. I got 3 inches back.
But yeah.
You want a little baby dice hat?
Oh, baby dice hat.
I just
Oh no,
realized
you're
you
not
have
having
my
it.
little Wick scribble in the corner too. That's so
I know,
cute.
I wanted Misfit to be included.
There's so many little.
I drew that with my fingy on Instagram.
I'm still just a little salty that you made me Thaco the clown.
Oh, what memorable character? Everyone's favorite Thaco the clown, with his bubble pipe and genteel manner.
No.
You know, maybe Thaco needs to make a return.
Right.
But
sorry about that. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna get that out of the way.
No.
Hang on. I did.
This is why we can't have nice things.
While we're hanging on, um,
What are we hanging on to?
Sheepy just mentioned in chat that someone may have a package coming soon according to USPS, and my
Oh.
tarot cards from her Kickstarter are on the way, and I'm very excited. So yeah, get to see my friends' faces on card form.
Is that an
That
Anna?
is super cool.
I'm told
That
it's
wasn't Anna.
crap.
Wife, you're being summoned.
This may not be worth it. What I'm trying to do right now.
You're being summoned.
Anna.
It's like a slow clap, like cheer going. Everyone wants to say hello.
There it is.
Anna.
Yeah, that tarot
There's the
deck is
misses.
supposedly in my mailbox. If I had caught that message before I came to the studio today, and
I will have to check later then.
I will.
That's what Chippy said to me too.
I will not have. I won't bring it on Friday. I think I'll try and bring it next Monday when more people are typically watching, and show it off then.
Nice.
I'm pretty hype about it. I did get the follower goal up. It took me a second there. It looks like we are 9 followers away.
Easy. We got that.
Yeah, we got 2 streams left in the intervening weeks. All we have to do is do it before the end of the month. It doesn't even have to be the last stream of the month, just before the end of the month. We're already giving away a gemstone set of malachite dice, and I have a leather dice tray. That could be somebody's. There could be 2 winners next Monday, or there could be 1. It's up to y'all. Just tell people about us and get people to follow us, and I'll give away more stuff.
Everyone go tell 1 friend to come follow the stream.
Everyone's a winner in my heart, but only 2 people could potentially get things to show that winning.
Thank you also, by the way, to Emma the Dilemma and to J Mount, who have joined us. Also to Johnny the Druid. That's a good name.
That's a good
Druids
name.
are dope.
You could re-roll into Bard if you wanted to. I hear cool people play Bards.
Druids are good healers if you're not playing a cleric, so I think you're spot on right where you are, pal.
Anywho, we are 23 sessions into my first ever D&D campaign that I've run.
Wow.
In the most wild, crazy environment where basically if you think you know the rules, they don't exist. And I think we've proven that a couple of times.
Where is this wild environment now?
It's a little place called Prismere. It's located in the Feywild. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I was setting him up for Beyond the Witchlight, but he didn't follow me there.
Listen,
yep.
It's Wednesday. My head's not all there, okay?
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
Wednesday, my dudes. But anywho, I want you guys to think way back like 4 months ago when we first started this campaign. What were your thoughts going into it whenever you were creating your characters?
I know what my thought was.
I'm going to be jumping all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason. We've got to keep it crazy around here.
Was it much a thought as a primal scream?
No, the plan was I wanted a character that was going to derail everything.
I'd say you've succeeded at that.
And here's a fun thing for chat to give you something that's going to come up, hopefully maybe mid-October, maybe a little later. We'll figure it out. I don't know because I'm busy. But anyway, Scinn was actually made as a NPC in a one-shot, a puzzle room that usually runs about 3 or 4 sessions that I will be running for some people at some point on the channel. But yeah, that's where he came from. So I made him into a full-skinned character, and I'll be making a new NPC for that thing, but that's where he came from.
That's fantastic.
I mean, I'm assuming the room in the puzzle room that Scinn is in is constantly on fire.
No, he doesn't actually come out from a room. The intent of the puzzle room, and this doesn't spoil anything, but the intent of the puzzle room is before they enter, I designed it to be like an escape room. So you have Scinn joining you because he snuck along with you to the party before they ever even entered. And he's able to give you 3 hints throughout the entirety of the game should you get very stuck on a puzzle. So but otherwise, he's just there to do stupid things. So
A very
Hey,
trustworthy
how are you?
source.
yes.
God.
Um,
So to reveal some secrets to the audience that I don't know if they know,
Secrets.
when I was asked to start playing this Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign, I had just started one with my home game. And I said, I would love to play this again. I'm loving the campaign in my home game. But I want to make sure that I can play a character that's not going to lead to me metagaming. Because we've kind of, this campaign and my home campaign have been kind of pacing each other back and forth. So we'll jump a little bit forward here and then we'll jump a little bit forward there. So I didn't want to make a character that was too similar to my home campaign character. Uh, Her name is Kit, and she sounds slightly like Nimwin, but a little more stupid. So I wanted to come up with something that wasn't this like whimsical little floaty lady. So I took the voice down a little bit, and I made her punchy instead of a druid. And they both actually have backstories involving shepherding, but other than that, they're completely different people. Um, and I wanted to learn Monk, so I picked Monk for Sawyer. But I wanted to do opposite characters to avoid any sort of metagaming, and it has worked very well.
so just to build off of that a little bit, how is this like? I know you've talked to me a little bit, but you said that both campaigns are running drastically different in like
It
the
is,
most random
yeah,
ways.
yeah. It's actually been really interesting. Because I've played a handful of modules, pre-written modules before, but I've never played one twice. Uh, So you would think that most of it would probably play out very similarly, but there's been a lot of moments where we touch on something that my other group just passed by, or we do completely opposite decisions for things. But I will say, when we came across the little goblin girl with the kite uh, in the home game, we also had her turn into an old lady and like run off and live in the wilds on her own. We weren't able to help her with the kite in the way that is like the good end for her, which I think is very funny. So I will never know what happens if we actually help her correctly. But most other things we've had, I've at least gotten to see like a little bit of a different like ending to each situation, which is very interesting. Agdon also kicked our asses in my home game, so that was no different.
We love herringons around here, right, Rob?
But no, no. Have you not been paying attention to my feelings on the campaign
Oh
ever?
no, no.
Genuinely, my exposure to Harengon since they came out in 5e, I didn't use them in my games. I don't play in that many games. This is the only campaign I play in. Aside from the What Lurks in the Dark that Tyler ran, which also had a Harengon in it. And so my only experience, my only thought of Herringons are the dillweeds that you have presented us with in this campaign, and so I categorically dislike them now. Thanks for that.
You're
I
welcome.
do like the one NPC Harangon that Ty played and cosplayed as, though. He was fun, and then I like tackled
I
him.
I played in a game with some friends, where my friend Liz played a little Harangon that was like Irish Scottish, and he was a monk. So he would always just be talking about just like I have a really big family and just I love weddings. Like that would be like where this character would go.
That's so cute.
It was really cute.
Now, Rob, back to whenever we didn't get your before we slightly derailed already. How did you come up with your character Cheshire?
I rarely get to play D&D. I'm usually the guy on the supply side of D&D and not on the demand side of D&D. And so it is kind of it is calculus trying to decide, okay, I have an opportunity here. How am I going to use it? And I was like, I haven't gotten to play a satyr. I want to play a satyr. I love bards, and when I haven't gotten to play since the College of Spirits came out. I said, I have to play a bard. I have to survive to level 3 so I can play a College of Spirits bard and try that out, because I was so intrigued by that. And then I wound up not doing that and became a College of Swords bard. So my entire plan just derailed. And I'd originally wanted him to be like a comedian or, kind of a children's entertainer kind of person. And just I quickly relegated myself upon exposure to Scinn and Sawyer as trying to be just the babysitter that's trying constantly to be in every room at once, watching all the valuable objects at once, making sure there's plugs in all of the electrical outlets.
Break it all.
Have you ever seen that game? Oh, what is it called? One person plays the dad and one person plays the baby, and the baby player
I've seen
wins
that.
if they kill themselves, and the dad
Yep.
only wins. I feel that
No,
is
it's
the
one
feeling
where
I
you
get.
play as a grandma.
I don't think that's the one. I'm going to be looking that up.
No,
But-
there is one where you play either as a grandma or as the baby. And you're
And
running
the baby
around
can drink the stuff under the sink or
or take
I think
meds
that's the
or-
same
yeah.
game.
Who's?
throw yourself down the stairs.
It's called Who's Your Daddy? Is the game I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think there's a skin where you can be the grandma.
That is
I've
funny.
only seen
funny.
it as the grandma. I've never seen it as the dad. I've only ever seen it as the grandma.
Guys, we also have point redemptions tonight. If you have a question that you want to ask, any of the players or myself, so definitely, utilize those as you see fit.
Also, hi Sprinkle and hi Grim. Glad y'all are joining us tonight.
We also have a point redemption for skill contest, which is if you were
Mhm.
saying, if this is what you were talking about, Rob, it's our characters doing rollies for specific skills.
Yeah, so if you all right, Sawyer's obviously good at punching things, Scinn's obviously good at lighting things on fire, but what if all three of them had to see who could tame a horse the fastest? We could all roll animal handling against one another. Stuff that you haven't seen us all try. So if you're who is the best performer out of them? Who is the best acrobat out of them? It's Sawyer. We know it's Sawyer. But, you could make us find out.
Kraken Tamer.
We're doing flips and shit off that squid.
I just started playing that song in my head.
That was flipping awesome.
Oh, Sheepy redeemed a skill
Ooh,
contest.
Oh, I've got
Yeah.
really good stealth.
Let's go.
I think it's Wick, if I have to
Deal.
be honest. I think it's
Yeah,
Wick.
if Wick
but,
was here,
but that being
Wick
said,
would
I
be
have very good
fascinating.
Wick,
stealth.
roll your stealth.
Let us
I have
know in
rolled
the
my
chat.
stealth.
okay, I'm gonna use
That
my
is incredibly
Dorian
mediocre.
Game Boy.
Let me change out Dorian for Scinn. My character sheets.
It's very average.
Oh.
On my end.
I'll
that's
kick things
right.
off. I got a 11 plus 4, so I got a 15.
I got a 16.
I got a 15 plus 2.
Ooh.
And then Wick, I'm certain being a rogue has very good
Oh, yeah.
stealth. So would we hear
25 from
25.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Those modifiers make a big difference. Oh, they. If you want to get in on this, Rob, Eric redeemed rollies for everyone.
All right.
Please.
I don't get to roll dice very often, so.
Oh, I lose.
You can do the roll.
I
Lee.
dare
Oh,
anyone
she
to
just
do
wants
worse
to
than
eat
me.
it. Look at her. Oh, there it goes.
Oh Lord, it's in the floor. What did you get? Oh my God, Becky, you rolled a 19.
Ah, she beat me. I got a
16.
17.
Everybody
and I was
beat me.
confident.
If Maddie and I teamed up, we would beat.
Also, for
Becky.
anybody just joining who hasn't been here in a while, Jane has said that Vex's new name is Rebecca. like Rebecca because I randomly call her Becky because it just makes
Just
me laugh.
fits.
So her new name is Becky.
Becky.
Or Vexy sometimes, but I mean Becky.
Nice.
So that I can yell at her and be like, Becky, why you like this? Like
So everybody has a guilty pleasure of their own.
yeah, this is Becky with the good fur, as Sprinkle says.
Mm.
What is your character's guilty pleasure?
Oh boy.
So back at home, Sawyer is kind of the caretaker of the family, of her and her father and her younger brother. So she's doing a lot of stuff all the time. So I would say her guilty pleasure is when she can just exist for a bit without having to focus or worry about the next thing she's going to have to do. So if there's a week where she earned a little bit more down in the fighting pits and she doesn't have to do like that second or third job and she can just stay in for a couple nights, that's like prime, I would say.
Oh man, that'd be my guilty pleasure is just when they need work done, I just like to lie and say, "Oh, just me and my back, just my back," and then I go play games while I complain about my back. That's my guilty pleasure.
Mine's actually not that dissimilar from Cien's. I spend so much.
Copying me?
No, I think I'm older than you.
Copycat.
I don't know about that, bro.
Okay.
Cien is timeless.
I'm just like. Anyway, continue.
Well, you see, I have a something of a need to be doing things for others, and it might be something significant or it might be something insignificant, just entertaining or whatnot. I very rarely take me time, and I don't think I've taken any since this adventure began. And so my guilty pleasure is just going away with a fishing rod and sitting next to a pond that I'm pretty sure doesn't have any fish in it, and fishing.
I have a side story that is so lovely.
We also have a question for Rifle when we get to it.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
But real quick, when I was up in Utah for FanX, there was a morning where John left very early, and then he joined us later at the con. And the first thing he does when he comes over to say hi to me is he holds out his phone in my face, and it's a picture of him holding a fish with the biggest smile I've ever seen on John's face. And it was the purest, sweetest thing ever. And I loved it. And I love that Cheshire's a fisher too.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
He's not good at it, but that's not the point of fishing for him. He just to be alone.
Can
Will
you really
dig
be
it
good
up.
at fishing, though?
I will dig
Who's
it
that?
off of my bag. But because we're talking about things that John has done, this little pin now that looks like Kiki. And at the con, we got in the car at 9:00 at night, and I'm in the middle seat of the minivan because we always have a minivan because it's the king of the car kingdom. It's so big you can't beat the minivan. But anyway, he turns around and just goes, "I bought you this," and then hands it to me, and then turns back around, turns the car on, and drives us away. Yes, the question for Rifle comes from Grimforge. It's Rifle, have you enjoyed your first DMing experience, and would you run another game?
I have very much enjoyed this experience. At first, like building up to it, I was really nervous, and I think I did a pretty good job of hiding it.
You're doing
But
good.
after the first like 2 or 3 sessions, we kind of got into that groove, and I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. I already had a streaming background, so the being on camera didn't really mess with me, but it was like okay, how do we tell this story for all of the players to have a good time and enjoy it? Which Luckily, I'm doing an adventure that's written out for me. I can just make the tweaks as I see fit, like going to a tickle tower that the tower itself
Aw.
existed, but nothing
Chef's
inside of it
kiss.
did. Um,
Mhm.
so there was a lot of that. And as far as running another adventure, I absolutely would. In fact, I have the Spelljammer book series sitting on my shelf that I'm gonna start
Oh boy.
going through because all I see in my head is Treasure Planet, and I want that so much.
Yes. Yes. Oh
Hey,
my
they-
god, can I play the angry scorpion guy?
Absolutely.
Ooh, I
How
want to
do
be
you-
the cat captain.
If
No, I'll be the dog with you. So we have our tall and small
Hey.
stupid.
Oh my god.
This is Maddie and I's
Doctor,
brand.
not a
Tall and
singer,
small
Jim.
stupid.
I mean, I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I don't actually help people. I just sit there and I'm useless. I love that guy.
I'm gonna have to watch that movie now. It's
Yeah.
been too long.
That or I'll be the amorphous blob that doesn't actually say anything, that just goes.
They do have those. Like they're a race now.
There's a race, yeah.
Excellent.
By the way, thank you
But-
to Kisahime and Bird Fairy and Chibi Shibe. To everyone who has followed in the last few minutes. Their people are telling people we're very close
Hi, friends.
to giving away a leather tray, guys. Only a few
Free
more people to
stuff.
go. Thank y'all for joining us, and thank you for supporting the channel. We're talking about our D&D game.
Um.
One of our D&D games.
So
We're about to have more.
back to the back to the carnival. What was your favorite? You as a player, what was your favorite part of the carnival?
Oh, the fairy. When we shrunk down and we were in the little
Yeah.
fairy area. Oh my god.
I
We all
love
got
particularly-
nicknames.
Yeah.
I love particularly the hamster in there. So that's
Bonus
Yeah.
points
favorite
if you can
area.
remember your
didn't.
nickname.
I didn't get one.
You did.
I did?
Yeah,
all got
you were
one.
Cotton Candy. I was Panache. And Sawyer
right.
was Dimple.
Oh yeah, it was
That's
Dimple.
right.
I just
Rob, you can
remembered
have
it was-
advantage on a roll next time we
Ooh,
play.
I'll use it on our next skill challenge that we do.
All I remembered is that it was a word that was fun to say in Sawyer's accent.
Dimple.
Dimple.
I liked
What
Panache. I was happy with that because Rob likes the word.
I
Panache.
like that Sprinkle says that one of their favorite things was chocolate
Oh my
thunder.
god, yeah,
Chocolate Thunder.
Oh,
That's like on
R.I.P..
another level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Our boy.
See, that
I-
was
The
one of the
next
first
nail
moments
happened.
we had in the game where I was like, Rob's gonna be all right. He's got
He's
this
got
think
this.
on your feet dungeon master instant bullshit stuff down. We're gonna be all right.
Mhm.
Well, and I know you really got a kick out of Candlefoot, the mime with the
Yep.
the invisible rope.
It's just that's a good
Oh, yeah.
detail because I know that Wizards of the Coast did not write that for you. That came from you thinking about what that character would do in that situation, and that was so lovely. Like
and
that
what
is
bothers me is I can think of stuff like that to do like on the fly, like sometimes, but I can't remember to bring NPCs along with the party. I'm like, oh yeah, they're just there.
that's why you don't.
They've got that artificial intelligence to just shadow us from a few feet back, but they
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
circle and stay out of the way.
Yeah, they're hiding in the bushes. You know, it's
Yeah.
fine.
They crouch and then they're in cover. It's fine.
Yep.
But Sprinkle enjoyed Palasha as well.
Oh, yeah.
Masha, honestly, I would have spent 5 more episodes just in the carnival alone.
I was
It was
thinking
so
that
much
too.
fun.
Like I
And we
kind of
didn't
want to
even
go back
cover
and
all
do
of it.
more.
We didn't.
Yeah, there's more that my other group covered that we didn't cover. We both did the snail races though, and like you have to do the snail races. But like there's stuff that like I still don't even know what it is between both times I've ventured through.
There was a
And-
lot of like mini games that you guys like. You did the goblin wrestling, but that was really the only one of those that you guys did.
In my home game, we did all of those little game stand games, and we did so many that we like spent money on additional tickets so we could have more punch squares, so we could play the games and win the prizes.
See,
Well, that
I've
Given
read.
that my character worked for the carnival, that was part of why I was like, pick whatever you want. Because then, not from me as a player standpoint, because I didn't know what all the games were, but like from a character standpoint, like he would have known what all the games were. So he was like, have fun, my friend. Do what you
Yeah.
want.
uh,
Enjoy.
from Rob's perspective, like I never read through the adventure because I never planned to run the adventure, but I like clicking through D&D Beyond when the new source books comes out, so I can see like, oh, this is a cool NPC, or this is a cool magic item, or this is a cool monster. Maybe I want to do something like that in one of my games. And I know there's a lot more behind the scenes at that carnival. There's a lot more going on than just the fun and the games and the laughter and the
Oh
smiles.
yeah, that's something
And we
else
didn't
that
do any of that. And I don't know what it is because I didn't read it. I just know it's there from what little I did read.
without spoiling anything, while our group went in and we ended up going through that mirror into the world with, reasonable understanding of like, okay, so this character is having an issue, we should go and figure this out. In my home game, there was just a point where as a druid, I had turned into a spider to go and eavesdrop, and I heard all kinds of tea from Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, and like, I don't know if it's in the book or if my DM made it up, but there is like this whole other reasoning for why we originally went in, and I thought that was super interesting. So,
what was the reasoning you guys went in?
so it had to do more so directly with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light and a deal that they had made. I'm trying not to give too much
Yep.
away in case
So
other
I think
people are
that
playing.
I think that is in the book.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was really interesting. And like, I was rolling really bad on stealth as a spider. So like, I think it was Mr. Witch like found me as a spider and I had to act like a spider. And like, he was like, oh, come here. I'll put you outside. Like, you shouldn't be in here. There's like acrobatics that might step on
Oh
you.
god.
And there was like this really
Me-
cute moment where he was being nice to a little creature, even though he's like the bigger, scary, intimidating one. So
Me
that was
trying last
cool.
night to get a very big spider out of my room and being like,
Oh,
okay, because it had
yeah.
really big, long front legs, and I was like, how do I get
Oh.
you?
Oh no.
Like it was one of those with like the front legs are weirdly longer, so it was on the wall,
Oh,
just like
yeah.
with its arms like hanging off, and I was like, I don't like that. that was
If you guys
little Spider Maddy, just
Just hello.
if you guys could go back and change something in the carnival, or add something, what would you do?
I think
First of all, and I reserve the right to answer again after having a time to think about it, but in order to buy other people time to think about it, you need one of those, like, contests of strength with the hammer and the bell, with all of the different derogatory things until you get to the top, like, mama's boy, and all these other little things, yeah. And then, have one, or have them be, like, D&D races, this Flumph is the bottom one, and then a step above that is Pixie, and this, all the way up to Goliath at the top or something. I think that would just be fun, fair.
if Palasha hadn't been in love and spoken for, Sawyer would have totally taken her out on a date.
speaking of that, we have another Grimforge Ask Me Anything, which we can spend a moment thinking about while everybody answers this question. Is marry, kill, or fight ring tag team of the party?
Oh, and that specifically seems to be Sawyer's Sawyer-directed question.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, for
marry,
Sawyer.
kill, fight, ring, tag team of the party. Okay. So
Yes, because we needed a better third option.
Unfortunately, we don't have anybody that's like perfect for you to marry, but you get to pick who you think is
right.
best.
So like that's a hard. The one that's the easiest, like right off the bat, I've got it down is the tag team in the fight ring. Wick, no
Yeah.
problem. I'm up front, I'm doing my stuff, Wick zips around behind everybody and just like takes them out. Would
Yeah.
have been perfect.
I mean, if
Might take
nothing
'em
more
back
than
with me, not gonna lie.
just doing the just going down on the hands and knees and letting you push them over, be
Yeah.
that's a good move.
Oh, the two of us, unstoppable.
Playground violence.
Once we get back to Petal, I might introduce Wick to the fighting ring. So we'll see.
Wick with his tiny knife.
Knives aren't even allowed, and yet here's this little crow.
It's like in The Hobbit when they're putting Feely in his cell and he just goes and like pulls another one out and puts him in. Anyway.
Continue, Sawyer. Continue.
I would say that Cheshire would absolutely hate being married to me, so for his own sake, I'm not going to marry Cheshire.
You're gonna kill him?
So I'm going to kill Cheshire with
That
all
makes
due
sense.
respect because he would not want to be married to me.
No, that would be a
it's-
sweet release. Cheshire's been chased by death for so long. Are you kidding me?
And Scinn and I are already some sort of life partner, I feel, so it would make sense.
I
We'll
get
get
that.
we'll get one
That's
of those
good
like
calls.
beds with like a wall in the middle of it.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
little pillow. Or...
Like our room in Seattle.
Our hotel room was so funky. It was
had-
one of
it
the
had
like
two
long-term
beds.
stay. So I
Yeah.
think they were trying to make like rooms.
Yeah.
But it
But
was
there
like
was
this
like
little
a weird little half wall in the
half
middle.
wall.
So that's why Maddie would gesture at me with her foot, because that's all we could see of each
Yeah,
other.
I would have to
was the
lay with
foot.
my head at the foot of the bed to see Ty. And then
Mhm.
like if I had my hands full, I would just gesture with my foot as I talked.
Yep.
Like I'd kick my leg around as I'm peeking around this wall to try and see Ty.
At a risk of going a little darker, back when we were in Granny's dollhouse and you guys had your episode of the bubbles.
Oh,
How did
that
that-
was so much fun.
It was.
Like, how did that make you like did that bring your attachment to your character with those like fears coming to light, or like what were you feeling whenever that kind of went down?
So I'm one of those people who, when I'm building a character, one of the things that I usually do is on my commute or whenever I'm driving, I will just talk in character. And that's kind of how I build out a character. I think about situations that they would be in and what they would say. I think about,
Mhm.
how they would explain their deal and what their story is to someone else and how they would introduce themselves. And that's sort of how I come up with a lot of how they react to things too. So when you pulled out the things that Sawyer specifically had to face, I was really excited because it was sort of things that I had thought about in the past while building her out, and I didn't think it was going to be something that we would ever really cover or touch on. So to be able to share these things that are like my little secrets that I didn't think I'd get to share, those are some of my favorite moments in campaigns anyways, and getting to do it in a campaign where it's mostly goofs and gaffs was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I also thought it was really funny that I gave you some answers, especially one that was very deep, and then I was the first one to break out of it, which means it felt very I was kind of grumpy about that, but it felt very in character for the character because literally everybody in the audience knows this character is nothing but like, just giggles. Just funny things, and that seems appropriate that when things get serious, he's like, "No." So
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily made me more or less attached to my character or anything, but it was very nice to have an excuse to talk a little about who the characters are underneath it all, because a lot of pre-written modules, and this is not a Rob thing, I think this is just kind of the nature of the beast, is a roller coaster ride. Like, it's an amusement park attraction where the fun element is what's going on around the characters more so than the characters oftentimes. And we're literally out of our elements. We're in the Feywild where nobody we know is, where nobody we've ever been before is. and it's hard to. It's not. I won't say it's hard necessarily. It's not as easy to make who you are and where you've come from felt in that scenario, and having little character moments like that is important. And it was a very good addition, very neat to get to know as Rob, the person playing the game, Cheshire and Sawyer, Cheshire and Sawyer and Scinn and Wick a little more than I do. Is my impression of them is mostly how they handle dangerous situations, because that's most of what we see.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to make, because it's wacky, it's fun, but I also want those serious moments in there, because I guess one of my pet peeves is whenever you're playing D&D, like you're role playing a character, you have this, like, things happen, but I feel like so many people just get wrapped up in like just building their character as strong as they can and basically becoming a god, and it's like, you're still a normal person, you still have these things going on that you have to deal with. You have fears, you have, you almost being killed by necromancers or krakens, like things happen.
Yeah. I for one am very, like, I make basically all of my characters with the intent of, even if you're high level, something stupid about you and you're aware of it. Like the cleric that I'm making right now, how she's a cleric, but
Like, she talks like this all the time, and like she wants to sing like all the muses, but she really just sounds like a fish out of water.
but anyway, like, I like making stupid characters, and when I run games too, I like adding little funny things to everybody, because like, I think the best campaigns are when things are not serious all the time, even if they're meant to be scary or spooky or serious. Like, things are not in real life, even with those things, going to be serious all the time. You're going to have downtime. You're going to have things that happen where you're just having fun with your party. So, like,
Yeah, that's
tail off
something,
of that.
that's something I really value when it comes to a campaign, where there are, these moments where it's like, okay, we are going to have to jump into combat. We are going to have to do this. We're going to have to play the game and use the numbers.
Yeah.
But then to have that side where you can spend an entire session just talking as characters and bonding as characters. Some of my favorite moments that I've had just in general in the campaigns I've played over the years have been the ones where we're just playing pretend and talking. And,
Mhm.
I have a screaming matching character with my DM, and it's just, a sibling argument back and forth, but there's so much story and building within that, or just sitting down and talking with another character and going, oh, yeah, by the way, here's this reveal that explains so much about the character. Those are the moments that I truly love the most. So I
Mhm.
love that we have those little smidges here and there while all the Feywild bullshit is happening around us too.
Well, I know
I
you
could.
mentioned like one of your favorite moments was after you guys, like, you went to the inn after your first encounter with the League, and
Yeah.
like you got to have that like one-on-one like sit down with Cheshire, and like
Ah,
that was
character
kind
heart
of
to
the
hearts. Oh, that's like gold to me. I love that stuff. I
Oh,
could
and
spend so many sessions just talking as a character.
I like the heart to hearts, but I also like the fun little silly moments, because it helps
Mhm.
make the characters not only matter to whoever might be watching, which is not always the case with D&D, but also it makes everybody, like, in the party itself, learn to care about more than just their own character,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love
So,
that.
I could make a quick request, just
yes,
because I am
Sheepy. Sleepover
completely
episode. Yes, Sheepy.
enthralled by you're back to your cleric, Ty, who wants to sing like the muses and has that very particular voice.
Yeah.
Could you just do the Awema Way part from A Lion Sleeps Tonight in that voice?
Hoimoe, hoimoe, hoimoe.
Wonderful. Thank you for indulging.
the indulgence.
Yeah, and that is actually something that's very different between Wednesdays and Mondays. Is Monday we're weirdly playing like the more chaotic group on Wednesdays, but we're accomplishing more, and we have a lot of like character conversations and moments, and that I think really kickstarted when episode 3 or 4 came around, it was like, oh shit, these characters have gone through some stuff now, and it matters a lot who they are and what they are. It's, D&D is different. No two games are alike. No two DMs are alike. No two characters are alike. And I'm glad we have a spectrum across even a single week of programming here.
Yeah, it's super cool because you might not be about a serious game. You're like, you know what, I need something fun and lighthearted. Well, you come in and you see Cheshire get one shot. It's
That's something
as do happens.
I really do love how many DMs are being introduced on the stream too, because you get to see that difference between how each story is told. Ty tells us such a different story from Rifle Rob, who tells a different story from DM Wannabe Rob, and I can't wait for my friend Dan to hop on because I have a lot of experience with how he tells stories, and I really love those. So I want you guys to see his storytelling too.
If you want an intro to Dan and have not seen the Battle Royale from last Monday, check that out because you'll get to see Dan up as a player and you'll get to see some of his voice work. So
I'm very biased, but he's a cool dude. He's one of my best friends.
Now I know I keep mentioning Cheshire going down, but that was kind of one of the first moments where, like you said, oh wow, like this was, maybe we shouldn't have been here. And that's kind of how I had designed the encounter. Like I was like, okay, this is the goal of what they're doing. This is going to be going on over there. The idea was you see what's going on there and maybe you don't go down there. But what did you guys do?
I've already told you, Rob, you can't plan on a player ever doing what you expect they're gonna do, okay?
I was just sprinkling some flavor in there.
I remember you complaining
a petting zoo
after that. Like, I put in this dodo and you guys didn't want to play with it, and I put in this and you guys didn't want to go there. So you said by design you wanted us to not go and touch stuff. And it's like, oh, but now they're not touching stuff. Gosh.
No,
how sad.
Was sprinkling it in there. You could have killed a cool dodo and had some fun stuff.
Oh, but did we know it could have one-shot us? It could have known.
It was too high on the
disintegrate
scale.
Yeah.
We were at like a 3. He was like 6. I could go back now and take him down.
We definitely should go. We should go back and take him down, Sawyer, before we leave.
Yeah,
maybe you can find those giant birds you sent over there.
Oh yeah, team up with the big monster birds and go get the dodo.
To take down the other monster birds.
He had a hat, right? Didn't he have a hat?
I don't remember if he had a hat, but he definitely had a cane.
Yeah. Maybe I was just adding the top hat because you said.
I mean, a dodo with a top hat seems pretty dope to me.
I think it's so charming. I think that has to be canon.
But yeah, so whenever
before we move on to a different thing, how did that affect you downing a player for the first time in your DMing career? Because I think I remember you freaking out a little bit.
I did freak out a little bit, like, because whenever there's a chance that you actually might die, I've told you guys, I will give you a heads up. I'm gonna let you make your own decisions. But if the situation in my head is like, okay, you guys might actually die, it was after that session and that encounter, I was like, okay, so these guys definitely can die.
Yeah.
So like and that's where I was like, okay, things have to be scaled. But also, they were like...
It's a lesson every DM learns.
And
scaling.
Also, like, they're part of the League of Malevolence. Like, they're kind of part of, like, a bigger part of the story. Like, some of, like, the higher level content. Like, whenever you're raiding in an MMO, like, you're not going to go into the in-game content at level 10, like, whenever you're supposed to be 50.
I mean, it depends on what game you're playing. If you're playing Elden Ring, You just gotta walk out away from the guy that sasses you and you get your butt kicked by a knight on a horse.
Yeah. And then someone's going to beat the whole game level 1, and then here's me going to grind before I go to the first boss.
And you know. If you guys, if your character didn't ever actually go to the carnival, you guys are still in Petal. Cien's still working for the carnival.
I was gonna say, there's no way I can't.
Yeah. Describe to me, like, where your character might be if this dream never actually happened.
I'm gonna let you two go first.
Rob, do it. Go. I feel like I
so-
keep going first, so I want to.
Yep, I'm good. Cheshire is living in his deceased uncle's place in Petal. So he has a place to stay. He is not employed by any means. He's trying to do this troubadour thing, this little street performer thing, because he does not have a lot of skills, and people have found his demeanor and his appearance, being unable to smile all his life, off-putting. That's not the guy you want working a customer service job. So the mask, the persona, was his deal. But let's face it, he was a level 1 nobody who didn't really have the talent to take it on the road. So his fate, other than becoming an adventurer, was probably just to continue to kind of good-naturedly mooch off the generosity of the town and grow on into old age basically alone. So, you know, he's perpetually stressed and in danger of being killed and having people whose lives are valuable to him killed, but at least he has people whose lives are valuable to him, and that he's getting out there and doing something.
Yeah. Maddie?
So, like Cheshire, Sawyer has an established home. She doesn't talk about it much, but her father used to be a relatively talented carpenter in town before her mother passed away, which sent him into kind of a dark spot. So her father doesn't really do much work anymore, which left Sawyer to pick up that responsibility and make sure her little brother is taken care of. So she'd probably be doing most of the same stuff. She would be working her shepherding job during the day, and then doing her fighting pit stuff at night. She, from time to time, would work with the people betting to kind of rig some of the fights if it would help her with the payout. So throwing a fight or making sure that she won. So probably a lot of that same sort of stuff. I feel like there may reach a point where she would travel to some of the larger cities to get involved in some of their fighting arenas in hopes of making a bigger paycheck and maybe helping her family move up in the world a little bit. But yeah, just honing her body and her mind and making sure the family's taken care of. Lifting some sheep, all that kind of stuff.
How many sheep can Sawyer bench press?
She could do like 3 to 4 lambs on each arm, or like a big mama sheep on each arm.
I need you to roll a persuasion on that.
Yeah, you got it.
Let's say I could lift more, but as I count them, I start falling asleep. And
17.
Come on,
Okay, it
Becky, go.
passes.
Inspiration, go.
Oh, inspiration, we do it again. Nope. Oh, hey, natural 20.
Hey, there we go.
Hey.
Yeah. You can
Thanks,
indeed
Becky.
Thank Becky with the good
My girl
fur.
Becky.
Becky with the good fur. What is this stand? Why are you doing this?
Cien,
Gosh.
what would you be doing?
I mean, he'd still be with
You're
the
running the
circus.
carnival by now.
No, he wouldn't be running the carnival by now. But no, like we haven't really gotten to get through his backstory, and at this point, I don't think we are. So I'm just gonna spoil it. Essentially, he joined the carnival because he is from like his family is giant and big and all that stuff, and they live in a tree, like a big tree. Basically, I think like Pixie Hollow. They live in a big tree that has like it's near a spot in which the border, like the field between the Feywild and the material plane, is very thin. So occasionally the tree pops into the real world, pops back, all this kind of stuff. And in one of those moments when it was really thin, he just kind of slipped out, being the youngest, thinking this is a great idea, and then he couldn't get back in. So he's basically like lost from his family at this point. So he spent a couple days just like crying with a family in the town until the circus came through and he was like, I'm gonna go to the circus. So then he cried, like ugly child cried, like snotty child cry in front of Mr. Wick and Mr. Light, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, and that's how he has a job in the circus. So he'd still just be in the circus with Timothy doing random little odd jobs that they feel he can't mess up.
Timothy.
I forgot about Timothy.
Timothy. Yeah.
Old Timothy.
So like eventually he'd probably, kind of buck up a bit and go see if he can figure out a way to find where his family is, but he has no idea in relation to where he ended up and where the carnival ends up and like where it pops back in from the real world to the Feywild, all that kind of stuff. He has no idea where he's going because directions aren't his thing. So eventually he'd probably try to find him, but right now he's got his own little family to take care of. So
Yeah, I'm picturing
he has a
Scinn
growing
taking care
he
of
has
Cheshire.
he has a growing baby boy in the form of a bird that he has to take care of.
Whenever
see.
I know that Scinn didn't have to deal with it, but Maddy and Rob did. Your lost thing. Whenever you got that back, did that feel special to you, or is there something that I could have done better?
I loved finding her height in the little like bare room with all the random stuff in it. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I thought Cheshire's thing was just like a beautiful character moment.
I was so looking forward to that, and I had ideas for how I would roleplay it here and there, and it's still good. And I tried so hard for 20 sessions or whatever it was not to smile whenever I was speaking in character, to try and roleplay it out. And there was nothing that this is not like anything you could have done or anything, but Cheshire was a less smiley person by the time he got his ability to smile back. Like he had concerns, he had cares, he was on his way to becoming a badass and a protector and an adventurer. So his biggest smiles are still to come when he is assured of the safety of his friends and having the ability to express that is something I am looking very much forward to.
Okay. Who has been your favorite NPC in the game, and who has been your least favorite? Are you pointing at me?
It's just to your right.
Oh.
Oh.
Sassy Bubble Clown was a fun one.
Go.
I never even got to interact with it.
See, I gotta go back through my notes because I do this very funny thing just for myself where I do like little notes about what I think and what my character thinks of each character. So I'll have stuff where it's like the character's name, the description, and then like jerk, I hate them, or like a grumpy face, or like little hearts, and I'll be like, I love this guy, or whatever. So I need to go back through and see which notes are the most scathing.
I can bet Sawyer's favorite NPC was probably the paladin lady.
What's her name? I wrote her name down in here somewhere. But yeah, she's a really hot cleric or whatever.
in all seriousness, I think I really enjoyed Candlefoot back there, just because of the... And I remember it precisely because I put it in several little compilations I've made of, I can talk! I can talk! How dare you call me Jonathan, you troll! That was
I
great.
forgot about that.
Yeah. Listen,
I
I
also
name
just
if
really
somebody
love.
does not immediately give me their name, they're getting given a name.
Mhm.
I think you finally learned that.
You bringing back Mistress Tickles,
Yes.
amazing. Love her.
Especially
Love that
given
she's
she-
a real
maybe-
character.
Yes, she's canon now for us.
Also, Sir Talavar, little dragon boy with a mustache.
He was good.
So good. See,
It's
I
a
have,
shame
I
that,
I
like,
have a little smiley face next to Sir Talavar.
I
in the
didn't
book,
like
it's
sport.
sad that they didn't do a whole lot more with him other than just like, hey, this is what you're trying to do. And then he goes away. I was
See,
like, oh.
that was something that Dan, my DM in my home game, had to say too, because we were obsessed with Sir Talavar. He's like, listen, I have to let you guys know he goes away, and we were all like, no, because he knew we were gonna get like focused in on that so hard. Justice for Sir Talavar.
I have a request
F's in the chat for Fairy Dragon.
based purely off of Icy saying character yearbook notes. We should all quickly do like what our yearbook photo would look like in character.
Free or post the ability to smile.
Yeah. No, you can choose. You can choose. I can start because I know Cian's would be
I'll
like
give
his
you
mom
a,
dressed him. His mom dressed him. His hair's like doing that weird like middle part slick down thing, and he's just like,
I'll give you that 3, 2, 1, and you just hit it. 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. Sawyer, 3, 2, 1.
Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get
Cheshire, 3, 2, 1.
it? Sawyer's that like jock girl who did every sport.
yeah.
All the sports.
Yeah, so she's like most likely to like
Cian
be
would be that weird kid
professional
that
athlete or whatever.
knows everybody but has no like shtick of his own. He just knows everybody. But yeah, his yearbook photo would be one of two things, of either actually looking really excited and cool and normal, or like, my mom dressed me. I'm in a polo. Like
Yeah, the polo and it's buttoned all the way up.
Yeah, buttoned all the way up. The hair looks like Dwight because like it's been parted in the middle and kind of flattened out. Yeah.
That's it.
Sawyer's got like a varsity jacket and everything.
Ty, have you watched Comey Can't Communicate on Netflix?
I have not.
Okay. If anyone has, I've suddenly, when you said that about CN, I pictured CN as Najimi, and now I'm not going to unsee that ever.
But if you find a picture, put it in the chat, or like in our chat, and I will pull it up and show the audience.
If I click around in chat, it'll break
What
the
about
stream.
you, Rob? What has been your favorite NPCs and least favorites?
Oh gosh.
What has been your favorite in general, and what has been your favorite to play as?
You licking peanut butter?
Honestly, I don't know if I have a favorite to play as because I'm just kind of winging it as I go. Because I try really hard to just not get distracted while I have the monitor going. I got the book in front of me.
You taste peanut butter on my fingers.
I would say Mistress Tickles is probably the most
Peak.
Well, no, not playing her in PC because you guys just mess with her body. Whenever I got to bring her back, because that was the poll that I put in the community Discord was, do you guys want an old someone to help the party or hurt the party? And either way, it was gonna be Mistress Tickles. And
if she came back and hurt us, I would have been so upset.
I would have felt so vindicated.
Heartbroken.
I was like, okay, either way, it's like the community is choosing. I'm not saying who it's going to be or anything. And they all said to help. So I was like, okay, well,
Thank
Mistress
goodness.
Tickles is going to help you because I had it in my head that she watched you desecrate her body on the stairs, use it as a shield against those darts, like throwing
we
it,
loved her.
stealing the wig,
And the
Lucinda,
boots.
and the boots.
I think Sawyer's
Um,
technically still wearing those thigh-high red boots.
Somebody,
there was a
Lucinda's-
lot going
Lucinda's
against
long
you
That
since-
there.
recontextualizes the whole
gone.
Kraken fight.
Yeah.
Lucinda is long since gone, but somebody needs to draw a Sawyer in that. Like, basically, like, Sawyer and Cien both looking real sassy, but Cien in the wig and Sawyer in the
In the
boots.
Just
Just over
strutting
the rest
on-
of her country bumpkin outfit. Just-
strutting on top of one of the tentacles of the Kraken, just like
It's
Oh
still,
my gosh.
it's still my favorite drawing, though. Like, not my favorite of all the Cien ones, but I love the one that Princely Green did of him in the wig because he's there just like,
like lounging and
Like-
posing.
There's been so many moments of this campaign that I wish I was artistic just a little bit so I could go in like because I see the picture in my head but I can't translate it to paper or anything and I'm just like it would be hilarious like at the base of the Tickle Tower when you all are getting the night's sleep you guys are passed out and Cheshire's just kind of like looking up at the top of the stairs with Miss Tickle's skeleton just sitting up there. Just like little things like this just go through my head, and I'm just like,
what I was picturing, because we sat around the stairs and all that stuff, what I was picturing is my friend's dog Sadie will go up and get the stairs, go up, and then turn and continue to go up. So Sadie will get up right before like the top floor cuts off where you can see the stairs and lay her head like it's choking her on the beam. So you'll just look up and see Sadie there just like weirdly choking herself. And that's what I was picturing.
No, but I am truly blown away by the amount of love
Yeah.
that the community has given this campaign and these
gosh.
characters, the
Yeah.
art
It's been
and
so
the
amazing.
memes and the
Yes.
jokes. Like they
Stop trying to
have
eat my
embraced
cookie.
these characters and understood them so
Yes.
like deeply, and it makes my heart so happy.
Yes.
It's so cool to see.
It's
Like
really
the fan
cool.
art.
Every time new art of Cien pops out, I get ridiculously excited, and I've loved that since he got the skull, everything has been so serious looking.
Speaking
But
of the skull, how are you still wanting some beef jerky or anything like that?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Aren't we all?
I'm only one
Beef
fail
jerky.
into like 3 or 5. I think it's 5.
I think it was 5. Yeah.
I got some wiggle room. That being said, if you think about long term though, with this thing on, there's no way not to fail.
Yep.
With probability and math and stuff, which
Yeah.
Sawyer is not good at, but
I think that was the thing that we first discussed is you can be lucky and not have a new bad thing happen, but the bad that has happened never clears. It never resets. So the way that it's
Yeah.
written, it is absolutely a matter of time.
yeah, it's an
Yeah.
eventuality.
Which is not
so we'll see when
bad
Cien
thing. I mean,
We're
it's a
gonna
bad
have
thing.
a-
but it's
we're
not
gonna
so
have
bad.
We're gonna have a tiny little cannibalistic fairy running around someday, whether it be during the campaign or later in life. We'll find out.
I'll just strap
That's
you in one of
terrifying.
those kid leashes
Put-
with like the
put
little
me-
backpack.
Put me in a baby Bjorn so that it's like this little rabid fairy that's just like
Just Sawyer's just
Um,
like, don't worry, he doesn't bite.
Oh my gosh. No, that's terrifying.
Mm.
And every so often, like you got little Cien and the baby born being angry and feral, and then every so often Sawyer's just like, huh, sorry.
you got on sunglasses and like a Starbucks like a mom, so you're just kind of like,
Mm.
yeah.
Shut up, you.
Good
What'd you
boy,
say about my
Cien.
baby?
Punch, punch.
But that's also another thing. So the two of you have cursed magical items.
We
Yeah.
And
We don't know anything about yours, Sawyer, other than that it talks to you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm so amused by the situation that Sawyer has found herself in because Cheshire was like, "You'll like this one," and she's like, "Cool." Eerie man voice in my head tells me to fight everything.
Which is not a piece of information I was armed with when I said you would like this one.
Yeah,
It was a
no, I think
melee
it's so
magic item.
funny. Yeah, and then she's just like, Cheshire,
Also-
there's voices. There's voices in my head, Cheshire.
Like Sprinkle just said, Sawyer starts spraying Cian with a water bottle every time they want jerky.
No. Stop it. No, but
That's what I
feel
want. I
like-
wanted a canter of endless water that just has a really small mouth, and every time you uncork it, it's just a water gun.
But I really liked the little conversations that Sawyer has had with the ring, because Sawyer has a very self-written set of morals, I would say, because she's had to do things like underground fighting and like fixing matches to survive for her family, but she also, for the most part, tries to be a good person. So she has this mix of like in the past, in other campaigns with similar characters, my friends and I have joked that they are lawful chaotic, where they have their own set of lawful rules to follow, where it's not the normal lawful setup, but they're chaotic with their own laws. And I feel like that's kind of what Sawyer is. So with the ring being so particular, about just like, no, you gotta fight people, you gotta punch everybody, it doesn't compute for her.
yeah, and like it was a homebrewed item for everyone that doesn't know. So they're like, it's kind of figuring out a little
You
bit
did
here
this.
and there. I know I didn't make it; I found it, but like it's modeled after like Jack the Ripper. Like it
Yeah.
wants blood, it's craving that, and whenever it's not being fed that, in my head I'm picturing like Jekyll and Hyde. It's like, okay, if you satisfy its need, it's gonna be nice, it's gonna be
Yeah.
cordial. That if you don't, it's going to turn you into a monster. And
There are actual items, like the Craven Edge sword and all that stuff, that are
Mhm.
very similar to that crave
Yeah.
you to do violence and kill things, and it drinks the blood. And if it doesn't, it starts taking it out of the user. So
oh, see, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Like Sawyer hasn't had that moment yet where she's denied the ring's request that much, but
Yeah.
when it does, we'll see what
We'll see
happens.
what happens. No, there have been moments where, like, after a game has ended, I've been like, maybe next week Sawyer's gonna cut a finger off. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I am also curious to see where it
you
goes.
imagine
Which finger do you
Imagine the
wear it
party-
on, by the way? Which one are we
you
risking
imagine-
losing?
is it the ring
I think
finger?
I think I put it on a ring finger. I don't remember which
Okay.
hand.
So you can still tell people what you think about them
Right.
and point
yeah,
to things
no,
that you
she's-
need. Yes.
She's
okay.
got the crucial fingers still if she cuts off the ring.
just
finger.
Excellent.
picturing-
And you can
I'm
still
just
sip
picturing
tea
Sawyer and
daintily.
Cian.
Pinky up.
Yes.
I'm just still picturing Sawyer and Cian first thing in the morning, like as everybody's waking up, and we're just like, all right, gotta go. Like,
just aim for this one. Don't get the pinky. I need that.
Just put them up. Just put them all away, Sawyer. I got it. Let me.
I can't put them all the way down though. It doesn't
Oh,
work.
it's him just going like, all right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
stop stealing the cookie. Oh my god.
I and that tragic incident where you roll a natural one and you miss, and Sawyer's whole hand is just gone.
I just have a blunt object to smack with.
So, question for Rob.
Yeah.
Gee, look
What-
at how much she just tore off of this.
What has been the easiest or the hardest thing running this game over the past several months? Like, what moment or what aspect has taken either the most or the least amount of personal effort?
As ironically as it might sound, I would say the easiest part was learning how to scale the fights for the party. Where at first they were pretty dicey, but also whenever you were fighting a kraken, like it was a baby kraken, you know. So and I was like, okay, right from the get go, it's doing half damage. It's not doing its legendary actions. You know, it hasn't learned those. So I personally, I feel like I've been able to scale them pretty easily. As far as like the hardest,
And in
part
all fairness,
for me,
the fact that we are level 3 or level 6 versus level 3 also means that we can handle more, and we have a few more hit
Right.
points if something does a lot of damage, it's not, and he's down.
right? And
Yeah,
like when you
we
told me
were
that
in a
if I do
weird.
more than the damage, it just instant kills you. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, that's a rule.
We're doing it
You
live.
are not going back for the cookie. You
But
will
I
go
interrupted
home
you,
if
sorry.
you're going for the cookie.
But like the
You hear me?
hardest part, I would say, is probably like I know the adventure is pre-written and like I have that to go off of, but you guys are really good at just not following any kind of a path or like something that I can predict
Thanks.
might
Yeah.
happen that because like I can prepare a little bit and be like, okay, if this happens, okay, we can, meander these in here. If this happens, okay, see flowchart B, like none of that. So like if you like, oh yeah, we're not going down either of those paths, we're gonna get in the sailboat and just go. It's like, oh, what?
Excuse?
Okay.
Pardon?
So like being able to come up with stuff like on the fly that I would call decent content is like that's probably been the hardest part for me.
I've not noticed at points when I don't know the story written in the book, but I've not noticed anything that felt disjointed or anything. So
Yeah, because we don't know what you are and are not including from the adventure. So
True.
Maddie is as close as we're going to come because Maddie
I'm still
has played it
pleasantly
twice.
surprised by
Yeah.
so many things, and I'm like, oh, I wish we had seen that in the other campaign.
So as far as we know, we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do.
no,
Right.
We don't feel like we're
advice-
going off the rails.
The advice that I give to anybody who's planning to run a game, because it's not nearly as difficult as I feel as it seems. Like you can still have fun even if you don't know everything. The biggest thing is just be prepared. Your players are going to go places you're not planned for.
It's true.
That's just the big thing. Is just be
100%
prepared for
can-
things to not go linear how you think.
That's one of the
So-
big piece of advice they give for stage acting. In stage acting, you don't have multiple takes. If somebody messes up something, you just have to go from there. And the advice they give is understand the characters, not the lines. So if you are thrown a curveball, you can do what the character would do in that situation. And as the dungeon master, and as the dungeon master, you're just doing that for multiple characters at a time. You're doing that for a villain and some NPCs and some bad guys and just doing what they would do, no matter what us weird people decide that the heroes are doing.
Speaking of yes, and I wish there was a way that we as a party could play who basically of the means of whose line is it anyway, but like scenes from a hat.
I feel like that's basically what's coming in a way.
That's part of why we aren't actually playing tonight.
I will be back in just a second because this one refuses to leave the cookie alone, so I'm going to put her away. So
I think I will also take that opportunity to grab a beer if you two want to talk.
Should we just take an early break?
Is it an early break? How long do you want to go tonight?
I mean, I would say we're done. Like, I'm just going through random questions and,
I think this is an informal. There's nothing super important or different about the break. If you need to step away, I'd say just step away.
I'm good to just sit and ramble if everyone needs to step off.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll take me
works.
like 30 seconds, but I'll grab a beer.
Okay.
It's the Maddie Show. Let's go.
The Maddie Show.
So,
I was like, I don't need
most
a
recent
break.
Taylor Swift theories, everyone.
Oh boy.
She's been because I didn't get to talk about this at the top of the show.
Oh.
Like, there's the baby.
Here's the baby. Good baby, bye.
So Taylor Swift has been announcing the track titles for each of the songs on her new album Midnights that is out October 21st. And she's been announcing them at random nights at midnight via her TikTok. And she's been holding up a different amount of fingers every night for the last 5 videos that she's done, starting with 5 and counting down. And she released one last night with the 1 for the countdown. She had 1 finger out at one point, and it was like this. And so people think that Friday she might release something like the actual song or a music video or something. Anyways, everyone's back now, so Taylor Swift theories, we're done for now.
We have little antisocial.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's already doing it. She's turning it back to you.
Evelyn May says that I know a little bit of what I'm talking about improv and character stuff.
Heck yeah, Evelyn. I did improv too. I was in an improv troupe for a little while.
I wish. There's just none of that near me. That would be so much fun. And I don't have the time to devote to another stage play with all of this stuff that I do. But I really enjoyed small town theater growing up.
Thanks
That's
for the
kind of
comments on my hair. It's doing what it feels like.
It's kind of what got me into cosplay in the first place, is I wasn't doing acting or improv anymore. So I was like, I'll just go be characters.
So talking
by
about,
the way, people who are in the chat,
Crew
you want to ask us stuff, go ahead and you don't have to use the channel redeem if you want to ask us stuff.
yeah, please.
Even if it's not about the campaign, if you guys just want us to talk about D&D in general, if you have any specific questions, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm eating peanut butter M&Ms.
Those are the best.
I'm eating cookies because I went to Crumble for the first time. So
I also have a cookie.
Pumpkin
I have
beer
a
from
Snickerdoodle.
Aldi's.
I cut off the part that Becky chewed.
Talking about improv though, how did you guys feel on my little redeem of the Kraken?
I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty funny.
I don't remember the redeem of the Kraken. I remember the Kraken.
It was the redeem.
That was the redeem. That is not in the book.
Oh no! I
he
mean, did you?
redeemed your DM's.
Oh, I thought
right?
I thought you were talking about channel points or something.
Oh no! Sorry, no. So it was a split, like a last minute decision, but I wanted there to be something special about this lake, and it was meant to be like the lake itself was the portal for the Prince Algarthus's way home. Once he lit all the beacons, he could go home. But he'd been traveling that whole thing back and forth, lighting the beacons, and was never disturbed. The giant birds were always coming and putting him out, and that was kind of the hag's curse on him. Like, he could never go home. Whenever you guys entered the boat, that's what brought the Kraken up. Now, the birds also were there as a backup, as, okay, they know the Kraken is down there. They know that they can eat it. So they're kind of like circling for their food. But, when Scinn flew up and was like, hey, there's some rabbits over there you can eat, and they flew away, I was like, oh boy, this is getting ready to get real interesting real fast.
That's so funny to me. I think that's hilarious that you got us like, okay, this is their backup. They've got, this is kind of, do they lessen it and scale it back a little bit, give them some help? And we're like, nah, let's get rid of them. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is where, Rob, you and I have talked about this after the fact. This is where metagaming hurts me. Because I don't mean to do it, but you tell me that something is called a periton. I come to the table with, like, okay, I know what a periton is. I know how large it is. I know roughly how dangerous it is. I don't know exactly what it can do or hit points it has or armor class, and I'm not going to look all that stuff up, but I have an idea. And these were not normal peritons. And then you come at me, and a Kraken comes out. I think, God, we're fucked. I know about what a Kraken is and what it can do and whatnot, and I'm still trying to react to things properly as Cheshire, but I have a false set of assumptions for what you were actually putting in front of us. So when you brought out a Kraken, I thought, this is where Cheshire dies. Okay.
Just kidding. It was actually Cian's death moment.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. It was my time to shine.
Has Sawyer had a turn on the death wheel?
I
The
don't.
mimic
close.
door?
The mimic door, I was a little concerned, but the closest I've gotten is when I got knocked unconscious when we were fighting the
Long scarf.
brigade group with long
Yeah.
scarf. Yeah. But I'm pretty tough, so like, you guys don't have to worry about me.
Speaking of the mimic door, though, and that
Oh my
baby
gosh.
leg.
Oh. Okay, first of all, I gotta say, at the booth I recently worked at, we had little mimic chests.
Mm-hmm.
I know what
Um,
you're talking about because they're the jails.
Yeah,
They the wooden ones
and
or are they the
the
plastic?
wooden ones. Yeah. And people were really into them, so there were a lot of mimic conversations. So I kept bringing up the mimic door because there were some people who like knew all about mimics, and I was able to tell them about the mimic door. And then there's people who didn't know anything about mimics, and I could like explain like, oh, they can be anything. So it was thank you for the talking point, Rob. Like 10 out of 10 helped me make sales. But
there we go.
that was a moment where I was a little concerned, and I also felt really guilty getting Wiccan to it too.
Yeah, whenever you
No,
both
but
were winding up,
Cian
like, all
had
right,
a-
we're both gonna kick it
Yeah.
right now.
Cian,
I'm
though,
like,
Cian,
you're
though,
so
had a
good,
great
you can
time.
do this.
Ian had a great time though, running in with his potions, just being like, and like spitting things out of the way to like make you drink it.
Like that was priceless. That added like just so much flavor to it.
So
All while
funny.
Cheshire is drinking with a rock guy,
Downstairs
Rocky
drinking.
downstairs.
See, the thing about that was, I had no idea. And in that situation, I found it very easy to not medicate.
So going forward, just make sure Cheshire always has beverages available, and
Yeah,
we'll be good.
That's it.
Totally fine.
Also Rob. Also Rob.
Also, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can show because not only is
Hey,
Kiki
boy.
getting fat, look at how chonk.
Oh, she
Look
getting
at-
chunky.
big.
She's like,
She's
mother,
like,
do
Mom,
not.
stop.
Mother, no.
Mother,
why?
no.
My friend Lucy earlier, when I put up a thing saying, yeah, no, Kiki's getting chubby, she just sent me a thing back saying, Mother, how dare you? I'm shapely. Like,
Shapely. She's just curvy.
Maddie, you made me laugh really hard yesterday, though, when I sent the message to you that's just like, good news, Kiki, it's not babies, it's just fat. And Maddie goes, OMG, same.
Same. I did like a cute little emoji.
We've been playing the game of, is it fat or babies?
This could be like in campaign or before we got started, like backstory wise. Describe a moment when your character felt like a villain and if you did or did not regret it.
When I hit a kid. Easy. Next.
But did you
You were
regret it?
so nice about it, though.
I mean, as a player, I was like, I gotta do something. I'm not gonna hit someone I know more, so I'm gonna accidentally elbow the kid. Sawyer felt awful. Because, she's got a little brother at home and everything, and she actually, like, has a soft spot for kids. But yeah, that was Sawyer's villain moment.
Cheshire's would be threatening to kill an oil can. Which
I don't know
he
if
does-
we've... Yeah.
I don't think
That would be-
Cheshire that he would really lose a lot of sleep over squishing an oil can.
That makes
but-
it more of a villain moment because
Yeah.
you're not caring about it.
No,
It's true,
yeah.
it's true. No regrets. No
No reg-
regrets.
No,
But-
no
No
regrets.
His it doesn't come up all that often because normally he's the one that's in danger, or he's the one that's been betrayed. But if someone is lying to or threatening or betraying the trust placed in them by his two relatively innocent and naive charges, then he takes that very seriously.
Ian's done a lot of very questionable things that he doesn't think is a villain arc. I mean, maybe bullying a child into feeling bad is one thing. Maybe setting off a fireball that technically should have killed Polynella, and we said, no, we're not doing that today. But on that note, though, on a flip side, I am 100% certain that CN is the start of multiple people's villain arcs, like Jonathan, Candlefoot. That little squirt is definitely like CN is the start of his villain arc. Like,
Turns out Squirt's the big evil bad guy.
yeah, at the very end of the campaign.
Well.
Look
Up
who
his
it
glasses.
is.
Remember how you didn't get my oil and threatened to put me in a bag?
Remember how you scared the poo out of me?
One of my favorite moments that, like, whenever I sit there and I think about it, because, like, the first few episodes, I was going down, I was watching the VOD, and I was taking notes on, like, memorable moments that happened, and then it just got to be too much with personal life, and I was like, I can't keep up with this. But one of my favorite moments was when CN and Cheshire went to the tent near the Swan, and you got drunk on the toilet hooch. Like, I don't know why, but I'm just like, this is hilarious, and I approve of it 100%.
It was such a D&D goofy moment. Like it's one of those things that happens in every campaign. There's a moment like that.
Where we get drunk on toilet hooch every campaign.
I just had to stop and think, this character's 2 feet tall and this is powerful. It's gonna take him pretty quick. So that's why he had a sip and then passed out.
Let's see here. Describe a moment where you felt like a hero.
All the damn time. No.
Every day of my life.
Liberating all of the kids, helping our new baby liberate all the kids, you know. That was pretty good.
That's probably objectively the best thing we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really cool jumping off the pillar and then landing without taking any damage, and also springboarding off to save Cian. That was cool.
Hero moment for you and I, Sawyer, is when we helped out the twin who got, like, basically, remember there was with Charm, there were the 2 twins in the shop, and there was the one that they never let me do anything. So it was like, if you sell us this,
I loved that guy. We got to get a sale. Yeah,
he could do some more. Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, Dabs.
And then I took the other guy's glasses.
Those were Trinket and Bobble.
Trinket and Bobble.
I took Trinket's glasses and we helped Bobble.
There's a little Bobble. That's another word that's fun in Sawyer's voice.
Bobble. It's anything Dimple and Bobble, anything ending in LE.
Yeah, because she doesn't say the LE. It just goes, oh.
Oh, I'm not doing well.
I got a 12.
It's just a regular old rollies.
Let's see how your.
Oh yeah, Dab's got the Dragon Boys.
Let's see how this goes. Oh,
I got a 7.
12.
3.
10. It's higher than she usually gets, but still, it's 10.
I'm proud of Pike.
That one night that she rolled a natural 20, and all of us went.
That's not Pike. Who is that?
Did you blink yourself? Like,
while you were in the back to the Hither, when you first encountered the hag, you guys chose to get out of there basically as quick as possible. Was the hag scary to you, or would you go back and handle that differently?
At the level we were at, I would probably
run. think CN at this point, the helmet, the skull right now, the way I've been playing it, because he's only had 1 fail out of 5, is that he's wanting meat a little more than he used to, and it's pulling out his aggression a little more than it normally would. So at this point, I think he'd be like, hell yeah, let's go back, let's go kick her butt, kind of thing. I think at the time, for my character at least, he'd heard all these things about hags and all this scary stuff, and he was kind of like, "Oh my god," when in fact I think she was like the calm one of the group, probably like maybe the easier one of the squad. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of right at that was meeting her was coming off the back
Ooh.
of our failure
He just asked a
with
good
the
question.
League of Malevolence. So we hadn't really chalked up a W
And
yet.
Agden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
right after that, we got a level up from having met a hag. Right after that, Cheshire gets his swords. We go to the next area. We get kind of magic itemed up a little bit. So if I were to make the choice again, I think we'd have made the same. Yeah, and we got a fourth party member. I would make the same choice. If the question is, would we go back and do something different back then? No. If it's, would we go back and do something about her right now? Absolutely yes. Let's go.
That was a moment for me where, kind of like Rob was saying earlier, I have dealt with hags in other games before, and I was concerned about starting combat with her at the time, because hags can be very scary to fight. But after what we've done and, destroying her sister and all that, I think we could take her now. But funnily enough, in my home game, we also did not fight her, and there was a point where she was elsewhere and she saw us, and in that campaign we had just really annoyed her and were like just horrible little children to deal with for her, and she was just kind of like, not you guys again, and she like poofed herself away, and it was very funny.
Two things. One is that maybe this can be our Halloween thing. Rifle is Sprinkle saying one shot where the party has to faint a bunch of people. Cien's made mad. But no, I like Sheepy asked us a question of, if you could create an alcoholic drink based off of your PC, what would it consist of and what would you call it?
Easy. Crown Apple and Sprite, and it would be called an adult sippy cup.
Our DM was prepared. So I think mine would probably be like, think like pina colada flavored, because I see him like with the little fruity drinks and like the cocktail umbrellas and all that stuff, and it would be called pixie dust, and it would have like a poof of glitter on top of it.
Oh, cute.
It would be a blue drink, so it would have like, like the blue curacao
blue
in it.
curacao.
Yeah, and it would have like a puff of glitter right on top of it.
See, this
And
is
it would
where
come with one of the straws that's glasses, so you put it on and just.
This is where Maddy, being a lightweight who only drinks fruity girly drinks, hinders my answer, because I don't think Sawyer is a cute girly drink. I think she's something a little more like sophisticated. So I'm not sure what Sawyer would be.
But would she maybe be like a sangria?
Oh,
Like a little bit of fruit, but some wine.
I could, yeah, like a sangria with some bourbon. Yeah, I like that.
And it comes in like because of how Sawyer is, it can come in like a mason jar.
Cute. I like that. I like that. Yeah, little mason jar.
For the last game, it doesn't have to actually be alcoholic, but for the last game, everybody remember what you just said, and we're gonna make our own little drinks and pull them out.
Cute.
They don't have to actually be alcoholic.
Mine is that every week already. So.
I think
Sheepy
Cheshire's
also
would have to be
Kraken
a
rum, so I like that too. Thanks, Sheepy.
I think anything based off of Cheshire would have to be, at least in the campaign, it would have to be something that could be drank quickly, because he doesn't have time with y'all to sit and enjoy
like
a
cute
drink.
Little shot.
But I think it'd have to be a car bomb, and dropping something into Red Bull, because he needs energy to keep up with all of you. So it's probably a shot that is equal parts a high-proof rum, like Bacardi 151, and an orange liqueur like Triple Sec or Jameson Orange, dropped into Red Bull. Just call it like, I just need a minute, or something like that.
I have a
Give
for
me
when
a
I
second.
when I don't have the
Give me a
rats
triple
out and when I'm
second.
feeling
There you
I
go.
know you guys have heard I tend to like fidget with my dice a lot when we're playing, so for when I don't have the rats out so that I can fidget, I have a blue slime that's scented like a blue Hawaiian.
Ah.
This is essentially
Ooh.
Cian in a jar. So
I think this is not
also,
a
does everybody like that blue is not by any means my favorite color, and every character I played on this channel have been blue.
It's
I've
true.
noticed that, yeah.
I think this is an IRL question from Junebug. Does anyone speak a second, third, fourth additional non-English language? I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't.
I can speak little bits of Spanish, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, so I know enough to do basic conversation of Spanish, especially by nature of where I live. I used to actually be fluent as a kid. Then we moved back to North Carolina for a little bit, and then I lost it. And I have also learned some Japanese through Duolingo, but the problem with that was that they were teaching it as not only the lettering, like the Japanese lettering at the same time as the words, so you had to remember both at the same time. But yeah, I don't have a language I can confidently say I am fluent in, but I know enough to do basic conversation of Spanish, and that's why I drive everybody crazy when we go on the road, people like the road crew, because we'll get like nachos and they'll have a jalapeno on them, and everybody's like, "Hey, you want one of the jalapenos?" And I'm like, "Dear God."
Oh, you know those
Jalapeno.
jalapenos?
Yeah.
Maddie?
I learned sign language a long time ago, and I forgot a lot of it.
I also.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew enough when I still worked at Disneyland to tell people like, "Oh, you're meeting royalty here," and that's about it.
I took
wanted
4
to do
years
more
of
sign
Spanish and it
language.
did not stick.
I did
I
2
wanted.
years of ASL.
I did an entire like writing Spanish course where you had to write like theory and exposition papers in Spanish.
Oh God,
Oh,
no.
interesting.
Yeah. So and it was really funny because our final paper that you had to write about was probably something that seemed like a really unique topic, but after coming out of the film courses, you had to pick a movie and write about it in an expositional way in film, like about the film, and I was like, I do this every week. I got this. So I wrote about Pan's Labyrinth, but
Dabs, you should definitely do that, and you should do a video recording.
I saw
of
say
that.
Dab says that he's worked in a bar for 21 years. I feel I need to make drinks inspired by everyone now.
I would love that.
I
That would. Be so
That would
cool.
kick ass.
We'll share it on the things, on the minis, on the grants, on the twits, you know.
On the twits.
On the twits.
That needs to be a great way to message people. Just find a twit and Sharpie something on their face and send them out into the world.
As we are as we're approaching kind of the last like major milestone of the book, what are some of the things that you guys are either scared about, kind of predicting the way the story goes? Do you have theories? Like what's kind of going on in your heads?
Just in general, or about like the final boss kind of thing?
Just both. Are you scared of that final fight? Because I already have an idea in my head of how it, like, you guys aren't ready, and I'm just gonna be
Well, now I'm scared.
That's partially my concern for the Indolin fight, is that she is immortal unless we can create an eclipse, and my thinking is that nothing that the three of us do is going to cause that eclipse, that we are going to have to be Deus Ex, that we're like going to have to be Deus Ex Machina into win.
I've already said that. Sorry for all of our chat and viewers, but I've already said Cian's gonna just be like, "Oh look, a candle! Oh, an eclipse!" Like,
tragic.
So yeah, I'm like, Rob's not scared. This is a
Right.
This is a pretend game where if my character dies, I make another. You know, it's there's but yeah, I'm very curious as to how this is going to wrap up in a way that like we feel like we contributed and weren't just around at the right place, right time.
I think
Yeah,
what
though,
I'm really interested about, because I do this with games quite a lot. I think our What Lurks in the Dark party learned it a little bit with Evelyn. But also with some other elements of this book that things have not exactly been what we were first thinking. I have this feeling that we're going to do something that we think is the right thing and then it's going to actually be the wrong thing. Like that's what I'm anticipating.
Yeah, for me, we are at the exact same point that my home game is at. Like
Are we
almost
really?
almost to the exact moment. So
Did
We
your
lost
home
our
game
lead
also
taking the
get
week off.
sucked up by the tornado?
we did not face the tornado.
Okay.
We ended up going into her space through another way.
Okay.
If that makes
Yep.
sense.
I know
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like throughout this campaign, because I feel like opposite of what Rob was saying, I get very personally invested and I get like actual like nerves and I feel it all. And thus far I feel like I've had a little bit more confidence because I knew a little bit of what to expect going forward. It's like I knew the spoilers just this much, so it
Mhm.
wasn't as nervous for me. But now I'm like, oh man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this next hag is gonna deal with us. I don't know what to expect at the Palace of Heart's Desire.
He did
So
it.
Yeah.
Into
P.
the
Diddy, if you will.
unknown.
But yeah, it's I'm excited because I feel like thus far it's just been a really, really cool story to tell.
Mhm.
And I feel like there were chances where things could have gotten a little slow and dragged, and they haven't at all. So it's been a really cool story. But
Wait, you
I'm a
mean
little
that the
nervous, not gonna lie.
the gauntlet of the tree wasn't boring or drawn out?
No,
Spending
it's
7 sessions there.
I feel like this campaign is a really good example of concise episodes where I feel like every episode has been very productive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of campaigns you run across a couple sessions where maybe, you know, you'd feel like maybe you could have done more looking back. And I feel like with this campaign, every session I'm like, okay, I feel like I did a good job and I feel like we got some stuff done, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
No, I'd agree, and we still do it all while having our little fun
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our
marquee
little
moments.
aside and then we're like checking things off the list.
Yeah.
We are, even in our like distracted, indulgent moments, peculiarly productive. Like we are doing shit while we're being weird.
Yeah, I think that's really made this a really, really enjoyable campaign.
This may sound like a weirdly selfish question, but I'm very curious because I clearly made Cian to be a off the walls oddball that was just going to say weird things. As I've said, normally I plan a couple of funny little things that a character might say here and there as the time's appropriate. I plan nothing with Cian. What comes out of him is just what's coming out of me. So has him being here changed what any of you guys? How you've been acting in character, any of that?
100%.
God, yes. I told you at the beginning I had an idea of how I was going to play Cheshire, and that was abandoned by the time we left the carnival. It's just
Yeah.
I made a adult child.
I was gonna play Sawyer much more skeptical. But then after seeing what both of your characters sort of grew into, I figured I would lead more into the goofs. And that's what Sawyer became. Because, like I said earlier, I wanted to make Sawyer very different from my home game Witchlight character to avoid metagaming. And Kit in my home game is she was taken by fairies when she was younger, and she has all these fantasies, and everyone tells her they're just dreams and that fairies aren't real. So she like is very whimsical in that way. So she does the goofs, but in like a different way. So it's worked out and it's been fun. But Sawyer was very different in my mind originally.
Now, I know Cheshire has expressed a couple of times that he just wants to go back home.
Yes, that's the point of all this.
Like, so going back into thither a little bit, and I'm just gonna say this now because the DM is saying that it was like a once in a blue moon, but those fairy rings that you were terrified of, you could have taken one of those home, and I was interested to see if any of you were going to mess around with one. Because I was like, okay, does the whole group go? Is that the end of the story? Like,
I
what?
almost tried it. Not gonna lie. But I didn't.
Ian wasn't planning to mess around with it coming from places and stuff like that. Like, he's not going to pull a whole fern of like, oh, fairies are the worst, because he is one. But like, he's definitely going to be like the, oh, I know what that is kind of thing. So he wasn't planning on doing anything with it.
Because that's the other thing too. Like, it might have taken you out of the material plane, but there's no telling where it would have sent you.
Yeah, it might have just dropped us in the astral plane and we would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
Cheshire
Well, I mean,
likes known quantities, and like the possibility of going home is not worth being somewhere else and abandoning his friends, or because it's a weird D&D Feywild world out there. He could lick a toadstool and become a butterfly for the rest of his life. Like it's just not worth it to touch anything. You touch some moss and shrink down to the size of an action figure. Like the less he touches, the better, he figures. So, but if someone else touched it and went home, Cheshire would cannonball into that shit.
But you wouldn't know they went home, is the thing.
That's true.
They would have just disappeared.
Don't know how it works. If they just disappeared,
Then he would panic.
he would continue panicking. It's a constant panic. He would probably go in after someone that vanished, just because, if there's not a body, then they're not dead, so need to go find them and save them. But it didn't come to it. Hi, Irish.
Irish, hello.
You all are granted one wish. What are you wishing for?
Like a wish spell wish, or just a
Yeah.
wish?
Like a wish spell
Oh.
wish. Like,
I'm so bad at these.
Didn't
my
we
God,
do
That's why I have to be
the same thing at the beginning of the
wish
campaign?
For Cheshire, yeah.
Yeah.
That my wish was for Cheshire to have a bunch of money because I couldn't think of anything else at the time.
yeah, oh
And
yeah,
I thought
because
it
you
was
had the
nice.
Yeah.
So can I ask for a distinction here, though? Because I said, like, is it like you get a wish, or is it a wish spell? Like, does it say in the book like that it's actually like spell, or just that somebody's capable of doing something for you? And I'm asking because if I want to go entirely feral, just fail all my saves and get extra bad when it comes to our final fight as a tiny little cannibalistic fairy, I can just ask for a wish to take it all away after, because that's the only thing that'll take that thing away after I get to that point.
So it
permission
says
to
like
go nuts.
you're given a wish. Like okay, hypothetically, say, okay, you've defeated the big bad guy, and your party is granted one wish.
Okay.
Or so if it was rolled, or if each of you were given a wish, what would it be? Would it be to go home? Would it be to get rid of evil items? Would it be to be the king of the Feywild? King or queen?
No, I think for me, it would either be, if it was for a group, would be saying, well, let's lets Wish to go home because he knows how much Cheshire wants to go home, and he knows that Sawyer needs to go home, and he figures the material plane is somewhere that he and Wit can just cause a whole lot of problems. If it's individually, each person gets a wish. It could maybe be, by that point, a wish for the skull to come off, if it's strong enough magic for that, because a wish spell is some of, like, the highest levels of magic. But, like, it could be that if it's gotten to that point, it could also be if he gets a personal wish that it's, like, before going back pedal with everybody, he might just ask, like, "Hey, can I see my family?" So...
Those are all pretty good ones.
Yeah, those are good.
If going home is not already in the table in some way, Cheshire would want everyone to go home. And then Sawyer would get to see her family. He would do his best to take care of Wick and give Scinn a base of operations, a place to come back to between chaos. Just so Scinn has a bed somewhere. If that's out of the way, he would love to rest assured that the people that he cares about are not going to be in any unnecessary danger. So he would wish for incredible divine levels of wisdom for Sawyer, Scinn, and Wick, so that they can always approach a situation in the best way or avoid a situation that they can't handle, and always be able to, so that he never has to worry. It's like they've gotten everything they need to succeed or fail, as well as can be succeeded or failed.
These answers are too wholesome.
And
But I
then
dig
he could go fishing and not care.
Well,
True. He could go
your
fishing.
turn, and then we have a question from Evelyn.
To make this quick, apart from like the other really great group ideas that the other two have had, the two that come to mind are removal of the ring, and also that Sawyer's family is always taken care of, that her brother never has to be hungry, that her father starts to improve in terms of his mental health.
The question for Evelyn, and it's asking in regards to running a game, but I think you could also say this in terms of prepping a character if you haven't run a game, is when you're preparing to run a game, do you ever research non-D&D lore behind some of these things? And I can say yes, that I do, for a couple of reasons. One, because I love pulling unusual things into D&D. That's something I thoroughly enjoy. Two, because I want to make sure that if I'm pulling something in, it is represented properly and that it's not done in the wrong way or in an offensive way, because I don't want to hurt anybody. And three, for a character, like whether it be one I'm making or a character a player is making, I want to know everything about that race, but also, I'll use Sebast as an example, how Crash designed her with, like, obviously Yuan-Ti, but also with, like, some, like, Aztec Mayan thoughts in mind in terms of, like, the braids and the hair and stuff, and, like, making sure that those cultural things are properly represented, or, like, pulling real world things into making sure that it's properly shown. And that's also why I love some of the newer renditions they've made of D&D, how, like, drow are no longer bad, and, like, all these great things. Like, there's all these different ways that you can find to pull real world elements in a way that is still inclusive and comfortable for everybody, that's not going to hurt anybody, because, like, at the end of the day, for me, again, when I look at non-D&D related things, even if I'm looking at old school lore like Norse mythology or something like that, because we're talking about a specific thing we might do for Christmas in regards to a certain Krampus figure, I don't want to make it just Christmas, because I want to get everybody's holiday to have a place where it feels part of it, so it's not going to be specifically Christmas or anything like that. It's just making sure that things in the real world that are massive problems or that have been problems in the past are presented properly in a game. And by properly, I mean as in, like, they're fixed. They're not part of the thing. Like, that's my main thing when researching outside sources from D&D, is to see the proper way to show everything, because I feel everybody should have a space where they can feel safe. Even like scarier things or edgier D&D, I still feel like it's worth making sure that everybody has a safe space, because I feel so many times when people have had a bad experience with D&D, it's been due to lack of communication and lack of listening. So
Yeah,
I'll get
I
off my
mean,
soapbox.
you
But
you were
that's
able
mainly,
to you were able to
yeah.
DM your spooky campaign, long shot, what have you. The what lurks in the I almost said what we do in the shadows. What lurks in
Could
the
have
dark.
been. Could have
Um,
been, because I would also
and
run that for you guys.
yeah, but I know when you reached out to me about that, I was like, I super want to do this, but I'm also really bad with horror. Like horror movies, I don't do. Like, it's just not something that I enjoy. Um, and you were able to give suspense moments and, scary, creepy things in a way that I still felt good going in and experiencing and exploring. And I think
Yeah.
that speaks to what you were talking about when it comes to making sure that you can tell the story and include everything you want to include while still keeping that in mind.
Yeah,
So I really liked that.
to use like Lovecraft as an example, because the What Lurks in the Dark was a Lovecraftian eldritch horror inspired one shot. Lovecraft was a terrible human being. Thankfully, his cosmic horror thing has spread further, in which you can find ways to make some of his bad things that came out in some of his original books just not a thing anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've
Or
never. Oh, go ahead.
nah, go ahead.
I've never ran a game, but to sort of speak to something in specifics, I really, really put a lot of thought into the character design when I make characters for D&D. So I actually really like researching. Once I choose like a style or an aesthetic for a character, I like looking into like textile stuff.
Mhm.
I really love the history of like clothing and like natural dyes that were used in the past. So a lot of times, if there's a character that has a specific backstory, or like culture, I really like to play into that with real world attributes. So
Mhm.
like with Nimwin for our Monday campaign, she has a family that is a traveling nomadic group. So being able to go into the thought of like, okay, so they're not going to have like canvas tents. They're going to use textiles that they've made and that they have woven. And Rob and I have talked about how Nimwin's aunt is a weaver for the tribe that she is with. And I like having those kinds of ideas play into it based on like,
Yeah.
Nimwin does embroidery on her clothes and they're all natural fibers. Meanwhile, Sawyer has some more masculine style clothing that was her father's that she kind of has as hand-me-downs that fit her. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
really
and
like
that
playing into that focus with
I
my
feel like that
characters.
I feel like that also plays into what you and I have talked about, and what I was just saying though, of like making sure that things are properly shown, is
Yeah,
in like
yeah,
looking at different cultures and making sure that you pick the right things of it. Like
absolutely.
Vessi's getting a Greek makeover right now for Theros.
Yeah.
And that was not at all her original look. But yeah, it's just a matter of like making sure that everything is properly shown and that you're
Yeah,
still having fun with it. And I also too like picking little different themes that match different characters like you do. So
it's one of my favorite things
but
when I
also as
build
a
a
but
character.
also as a cosplayer, you think about all the fabric so that eventually down the road when you make it, you're
That
already
is
prepared.
very true. That's something I've noticed between friends of mine who play D&D who don't sew or make costumes and those who do. Uh, the cosplayers always have a very specific idea about what every single piece looks like and every detail.
Although I will say Steven, your brother Steven, also does that, and he's not made any
It's
costumes, but he
true.
also picks what his colors are, what he thinks this and that would be. Like when I was drawing Dame for him, I took all the elements that he said and designed up Dame, and he was like, "Oh, that's perfect. Here's the colors."
Yeah.
Like,
I
yeah.
that's something I love to figure out with each person is how they go about building their character because there's so many different starting points and everyone has a different way to do it. I love it.
To answer Evelyn's question, do we research non-D&D lore behind some of these things? Most of what I run is in D&D lore. I don't include a whole bunch that is just out there, or a lot of real-world stuff, because a lot of real-world stuff is unpleasant, and I'd rather keep my fantasy. And also, I don't want to accidentally trip over someone's culture and, out of my sheer ignorance, be disrespectful to something. So I typically stick with the written materials, but something I will do is, even though I started with 5th edition, I will go back and read lore from different worlds or different editions of the game and go back and find out, because 5e is real stingy with information on a lot of stuff that they just wrote about. They just went off on paper about drow culture, or they would go off about the great dwarven cities of old and what Gauntlgrim did, or some of this other stuff. Even things like Phandelver was not like the Lost Mines of Phandelver. We're going to be playing through a version of that intro 5e adventure. Phandelver existed before 5e. Like, what is the history of that town? What used to be there? Who used to be there? I will go back and do some of that digging, just because it helps me flesh out a world instead of just painting one corner of it.
I will also bring into that because I started playing with 3.5. The one thing I do like about 5th, that is why I don't look back at what used to be the lore, but in some situations, and I'll use Drow as an example, sometimes I'll look back and be like, we're not doing that, because like the original Drow, especially the first editions of Drow, were very, very problematic and very, very, very bad, to the point that they were essentially, as black people, they were being represented very terribly, and they were the only race like that, and the only race that was of color like that. So that's one thing I really like with the newer editions, and that's why I feel like it's worth picking and choosing from older things what you choose to take, because a lot of it has
Sure, we don't have to include everything. Anything that you read.
Purposely, a lot of things have been retconned for the reason that the original source was problematic. So
and that's the beauty of D&D and tabletop as a storytelling platform, because you can pick and choose, and you can say, I actually don't like how any of this source material is written. I'm going to make my own. And I know you guys hear me talk about Dan, my DM, all the time, but there's one thing I really value about his homebrew world that he has created, that I've gotten a chance to explore a bit, is that he has found a way to create kingdoms and lands that have really beautiful cultures but are still blended and aren't necessarily like segregating races into different kingdoms, but instead giving political reasons to have things together. And I love that, because I feel like in the past, one of the most challenging things that I haven't enjoyed in D&D's history in particular is the like you were saying, the separate classes, or not classes, races being considered like inherently bad or inherently evil. To have a combination of a kingdom that has high elf and orc working together to build a beautiful political kingdom, which is where my character is from in that world. I think it's a really neat thing.
I also like mixing. Like, I don't feel like in today's society it's necessarily a thing that people are separated in terms of like different types of people. So I feel like in a game there's no real reason to keep them separated. Like, I get, like, especially like I'll use Nimwin as an example. She's a tiny nomadic group of they're a tiny nomadic group of people. So it's gonna make sense that they're normal. But like, I feel like any town of any even small but notable size is gonna have such a diverse group of people in it. They're not gonna all be one type of person, or like
wherever you're getting your information from, whether it is real world inspired, whether it is folklore inspired, whether it's old edition inspired. As the dungeon master, you are free to include and exclude whatever you want from your games. Every dungeon master is different. What excites you and your players may be different from what another group is willing to or unwilling to experience. And no previous edition, no outside source, no anything should be telling you how to have fun.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from you in a minute, Rob. What you thinking?
I'm going to add to that really quick of the note of like the DM can choose and use whatever they want. If you're running, though, the other thing I can always say, if you're a brand new DM, even if you're an experienced one, is if you are running, one, be prepared for your players to go do things you're not expecting them to.
Always.
And two, if somebody comes to you and says, this is a problem, this is really bothering me, my firm belief is that a made-up story does
receptive
not
to
have
that.
any reason to hurt a real person, which means if they say it bothers you or says that it bothers them,
Mhm.
just change it. It's a made-up story. Just change it. It's so easy. Yeah. Oh, anyway, continue.
Had
Yeah.
timed that drink
It's
perfectly.
Riflestud's turn on the soapbox.
Get on the
We're all
soapbox, man.
screaming.
My take is gonna be a lot less interesting because I don't research anything. Whatever I come up with is either in this book or I just come up with it on the spot. Now I agree, like the racial stuff is all big things because at the end of the day, this is D&D. Like it's all made up. It's all for fun. Like Tyler just said, like if the story's going a certain way and it upsets somebody, it's on, in my opinion, it's on them to come and say, hey, I'm not cool with this. Okay, you fix it and you move on. Like it,
Yeah.
if you're not willing
yeah.
to fix it, then maybe that's not the game or maybe that's not the DM for you. And then, your character gets written out or, you go your separate ways. There's no reason
Yeah.
to draw it out and like make a big fight about it. But at the same time, it's just like, it's for fun. It's,
Yeah.
in all through history, like different, like even in like video games that you look at, like especially fantasy ones, typically, like dwarves don't like elves, like that's a thing. So like there's always going to be like those wars of, because I've been playing a lot of Warhammer lately and like they really don't like each other. But
Nothing in Warhammer likes each other.
also true. So yeah, when it comes to like doing the research for stuff and prepping, we'll even back that up another step. My prep is usually the day before. Like I am just totally winging it. I hadn't read the last chapter of the book until just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
It'd be superfluous information. We weren't there yet. Why devote the brain
Exactly.
cells?
Well, and like you guys were asking, so why are we here? What's our end goal? I was like, I don't know.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on what you were saying, that if something bothers a player, that player needs to bring it up 100%. And I also do feel like there's a certain responsibility on the DM, like to use What Lurks in the Dark as an example. If you guys had come to me at any point and said, that really bothered me, we would have just completely fixed it. We would have written it out. It would not have been a thing anymore. It would have been fixed.
But
So I feel like
also,
it's on the DM to work with fixing that. And if that isn't something they're willing to do, for me personally, that's a bit of a red flag. But also, it's like you said, it's something where you might just have to separate because
Well,
D&D needs to
and
be a
I
safe space
know
for the people that are playing it, or else it's not going to be fun. So,
And I want to
pretty sure,
assure you, Rob, that it is
oh no,
it is a group
Wednesday night.
thing.
Yes.
Um,
Wednesday nights
a
have been
lot
my
of-
literal favorite thing playing on this channel. Just so you're aware.
It is
I do not mind saying
my
that.
my biggest
True.
thing, no matter when I've played, what game I've played, at a table with whoever, we've all said it. It's got to be fun,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. No matter what, if you're not having fun, I've told people this before. I've done Q&As on my Instagram, and people have asked, if you're not having fun, that is the time to stop playing and find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
Well,
And Wednesday is one of those nights where I find a lot of fun and joy in the adventure that we're having. I don't ever want to leave you guys.
I know Rob probably has a podcast episode out on this, but a lot of that stuff can also be brought up in your session 0, like the
Yes.
things that you are or you're not comfortable with, like
Safety tools.
like
We have a
have a
podcast
code
episode about
word
that.
or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like
there's-
I've seen something like that
I have
before
one
somewhere.
too, talking about how and Seth Skorkowski is a wonderful YouTube creator out there, just talking about running the game and a lot of problematic stigmas within game mentality. And what some of the stuff that he talks about is players taking ownership in the game and doing and making their voices heard and controlling the content that they play. exposing themselves to whatnot and being very vocal and communicative with the dungeon masters. The dungeon master gets a lot of fingers pointed at them if anything ever goes wrong, because they're in charge. And I think that's something that you've handled with a lot of grace, Rob. It's starting out, and just a lot of humility coming through, and a lot of just communicating with us very clearly and keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going well, what's going poorly. Just checking in with us now and again, making sure everything is a-okay.
Well, and because not only that, like it's good, like being new to it. It's like, okay, it's almost like a little report card for myself. It's like, okay, are they having fun? What can I change to make them have more fun, or like have that opportunity there? You're gonna have fun.
Those 2 words, report cards, are just so, they make my skin crawl. I was homeschooled. I did not get those.
And
Mom
if
put
I
gold
could,
stars up for you.
Yeah.
if I could add one more thing, just while
Hey,
we're on
Onyx.
this topic before we move on, just because it's been very recent on my mind, I recently did an Instagram Q&A, and I had some people asking about resources when it came to stuff like session zeros and safety tools. And it is a relatively new thing in the D&D space, I would say. And I think it's a really, really great thing as someone who has anxiety to be able to say, like, these are the things I'm uncomfortable with. These are the things I'm okay with. And then these are the things that are totally fine. So if anyone who's watching hasn't looked into the RPG consent checklist, I think that is one of the most valuable resources that you can use before you start a game, because that way a lot of things are laid out on the table. I know that sometimes people have things that they know are big no-nos, but then there are other things where unless it's brought up on a list, they may not think of it. So between that, looking at lines and veils, and then also considering using X cards or another kind of safety word, I think are things that every game should have. So for anyone out there who is new or looking into this, or just wants to add additional safety to your game, those are the things that I would point to first, and those are things that I was pointing out to recently when someone asked. So
Yeah.
just to sprinkle that out there too.
I've played for years with just the session zero, and it has been impressed upon me recently the value of putting things in black and white and presenting people with options that may not occur to them. And so even we on the channel are using those going forward.
Yeah, when I looked through that checklist, like I was like, people put this stuff in games? It doesn't bother me, but like, really? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
But I'm the type of person,
even
like, not a lot bothers me. I can just let it go over and
Yeah.
move on. But
yeah, no, it's the same thing. There are things on that list that the first time I looked through it surprised me too, but it's, you never know, which is why it's on there, and that's what I really, really appreciate with it.
Aiden has a question, Mr. Rob, in the chat.
Uh-oh.
How long have you been
Uh-oh.
playing as the DM?
Hi, Aiden.
23 sessions.
For anybody new, you've played one time, and this is your first time running, and it's on stream.
And he's doing amazing, folks.
He's doing wonderful.
And thank you, J-Mount, by the way, for the gifted sub a few minutes ago.
Hey.
Sorry we didn't shout that out immediately, but we appreciate you helping us out, showing a little support.
We were
Thank you, man.
soapboxing.
We were so boxed.
But they were
Boxing.
important things to discuss.
They
They
were.
were.
I think it's stuff
Now-
people
They
should
were.
talk about more, so I'm glad that we're talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another important thing to talk about. Your character has been put in jail. What did they do?
They hit a kid.
What didn't
That one
CN
time.
do? What didn't CN do? Like, that's a
What
really
does
good
your
question.
rap sheet say?
I think Cheshire's worst is drunk and disorderly. Just he doesn't handle his drink well, and when he does drink, it typically has gotten out of control.
You guys keep talking about your rap sheets. I'm gonna write down all the many things that could be
I think-
CNs.
Yep.
Oh,
I
no.
think
Burgle, arson, arsony.
realistically, back in Petal Village, Sawyer would probably get caught for like hedging bets or like throwing a match on purpose and getting in trouble for something like that.
So does Sawyer have like a manager for these fights?
No, she's her own manager. She's just like, she knows the people who do the bets. So, like, sometimes she'll, like, meet up with one ahead of time and be like, listen, put the money on the other person, split it with me, and I'll throw the match.
Does Sawyer have, henchmen that are like angry at her for, throwing fights and or not?
See,
and,
I like
and
to
the little
think...
town of Petal.
Right. It's a very small town for what it is. I like to think that Sawyer is decent at what she does, so she can go in and fake a fall real easy. But there probably is like one or two people in the audience who are suspicious of her at this point. She doesn't do it every time. She's a good fighter. She knows how to fight. She knows how to do a good match. But there are times where maybe it was a week where she didn't make as much and she needs to make sure her little brother is fed. So she'll throw a fight to split like a really high winning pot. And there are some people who may be like starting to be on to her now.
So I've written all the many. I'm sure there's more, but in the 2 minutes that I had, there is sassing in public, particularly an authority figure, loud noise, arson, stealing, assault battery with the knife, just kind of slander, and teaching the youth poorly.
Amazing.
Wow.
And I'll throw some fights to post your bail.
How much gold does your character have at this time?
8 gold pieces.
Oh my
I
god.
started with 10 and I spit 2.
89 gold pieces.
So I started with 15 at the beginning of the game. Cheshire kept paying for her, so she hadn't spent any of that 15. And then we found 500 gold in that drawer with Rocky. So I have 515.
Good round number.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of
That's
gold,
walking
but I make
around
up
money.
for that in pretty rocks.
Pretty
I
rocks.
don't have a lot of gold, but I make up for it in pretty rocks.
Now that 2 of you have been in space, what's your opinion on space in character?
It's horrifying. I don't know where I was. It was really fast. I was zooming through. I thought I fell asleep. I don't like space. And I'm going to run to the bathroom.
I thought it was pretty cool, I mean, I just kind of floated around for a second. Space saved me from a kraken for a short little bit of time, so like I just floated around. Saw a whale. Just a calf. And then I came back.
Oh. Trying to think what else I got here. My question sheet is running low.
Oh, look at that little round face.
Oh, Onyx.
Pike literally has a face that's shaped like this.
Onyx was asking, was this session 0? No, this is session 23.5. We have a back catalog of episodes on the VOD and on our YouTube channel, which I'll find you the link for in a second. We have played a lot of this.
Give an idea if somebody's curious about what to do in a session 0. If you have time, you can run like a 1 game sort of thing where everybody gets to kind of feel their characters and stuff like that. That can be your session 0, but regardless, it can either be this is your session 0 or you do this for playing 1 little mini game like that. But it's just kind of going over like people's yes and no's, like their green, red, yellow on a consent sheet, giving them an idea of, without giving spoilers, but giving them an idea of like where their character is going to come in, talking about backstories with each other. If people just want to introduce their characters, if you have a new player that's never met somebody else, they get to do an introduction. Like that's usually what goes on in session 0s. So
Brother and I made an episode of the podcast, as Rob intimated. I went and found that link. If you are curious what a session 0 might entail, so that you don't miss anything, and I think we did include your suggestion of running a mock combat or running a trial session. I think Steve threw that in at the end. There's a Spotify link. If you like it, there's more.
You can also pre-save Taylor Swift's brand new album, Midnight's out October 21st on Spotify
Link
once
it,
you're
Maddie.
done listening.
Link it, Maddie.
I will.
What is your character's biggest pet peeves? Asks Evelyn May.
Oh.
Evil rings.
When people treat me like a child and refuse to listen to me.
Mm. I don't know. Cheshire is so stressed. It's really hard to organize things categorically. Is to say what is the most, or the biggest, or the worst. Apparently, lying to him is a big one, as Squirt found out.
I think Sawyer has a problem with exorbitantly wealthy people who don't help others with that wealth.
Ian's got a problem with people who take themselves too
Capitalism.
seriously.
Ah. We have a skill challenge, guys. Who is the best survivor of us? Who is the survivalist?
Survival.
I'll go ahead and tell you. I've got a +2 to this, so look out now.
Me too.
Have we even rolled a survival check in this game?
We've
I
not.
don't know.
Not
don't
recently.
think so.
Maybe back in the swamp days.
I have a +0 to this, so
Got an
I got a
11.
13.
I got about 3.
I'm
I
waiting
see
for
Aiden in the chat talking about Midnights. I know you a fan, Aiden. Aiden's one of my Swifty friends.
I was wondering. I was hoping someone would inadvertently stumble into asking us to roll sleight of hand, because thanks to those invisible gloves I'm wearing, I got a +14 to that.
Yeah.
+14?
Yeah!
What?
You know?
Why
But
aren't
you
you
keep-
trying to steal more stuff?
Because you broke my lockpick, and then you told Wick the one sleight of hand check that he failed, that he broke his lockpick, so now we can't pick locks. Because no one's selling lockpicks in the Feywild.
You know, that is something I if I could go back and do, I would try to scatter little shops or traders around a little bit more in the world.
Mm.
Um,
Now, we haven't had a shopping episode yet. That's we don't have to go back.
We haven't.
you did
We
have that.
did. With,
You lost your eye color, okay?
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Bobble and his jerk brother.
Yeah.
Get
No, he's just a jerk.
just a jerk.
That's someone I wrote down into my notes as like, this guy sucks. Bobble's the best.
Everyone has
Unfortunately, Leo, it is only for lockpicking. It doesn't help me with picking pockets with that magic item.
Everyone has a nickname. What is your character's nickname? Who calls you that? And what do you think about it?
Panache and the people at the carnival. And it's good.
Cute. Oh man.
Could we give
Sawyer's-
each other nicknames though? Because Scinn, I don't think has a nickname because his name is short, but like he definitely call like Sawyer like the muscle.
Yeah, if your characters give each other nicknames, that's up to you.
Sawyer's dad still calls her little one, even though she's really big.
Bigger now than last he saw her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so buff coming home to dad, be like,
And
hey,
3 whole
gotta
inches
get some more
taller.
money for you in the fighting
A whole
pits.
3 inches taller.
Yeah,
3
her
inches.
shrink spurt has is over.
Fighting.
um,
Fighting a thingy now.
Heck yeah, J Mount. Tell your eldest daughter she's got excellent taste in music.
Yeah, if you guys want to
Um,
give Scinn a nickname, you're welcome to, but he doesn't have one at the moment. If anything, it's maybe just like the
Yeah.
him from like the
Oh,
Yes.
this,
oh,
this
him.
guy.
It's trouble.
The Blue Menace.
So the campaign comes to an end. The story of the Wild Beyond the Witchlight has finished. Your characters are either dead, alive, Feywild, material plane. Would you, if they were alive, would you continue to play them and whatever adventure came their way?
No.
I would.
Wait, can you restate that question?
So
I was half reading the chat and I got
No, you're good.
distracted. I'm sorry.
the Wild Beyond the Witchlight ends. Like
Mhm.
the end, credits roll.
Yes.
Wherever your character is,
Would you
assuming
come back
they're
and play them in the sequel?
alive, would you continue to play them in whatever adventure comes their way next, or are you retiring them?
I think if it was the right adventure, I would bring Sawyer back, but I would be very particular about it.
So, by the nature of how I originally created Scinn, he's very easy to pop wherever. If it's with this party, or at least part of it, yeah, 100% he'd be back. That's why I was joking that if I play in your Spelljammer game, that I have to make Scinn 2.0.
Well, and like, okay, say that hypothetically, you all, like, all four of you end up back in Petal Village, and now, in theory, there's a whole world you could explore. Well, Rob already said Cheshire wouldn't.
Well, it's not Cheshire wouldn't, it's Rob wouldn't. Because
Oh, yeah.
we said back at the beginning of this
Yeah.
that Rob does not get an opportunity to play often.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of character ideas that I'm excited to try out and to, take out on a couple of dates and see if I want to do something long term. And really, Cheshire, I set out to play the College of Spirits Bard, and I'm not even playing College of Spirits Bard. So, yeah, I would be excited to try a new character, and it's nothing against Cheshire or the story that he's experienced. I just would not. I want him in this adventure. I want to finish this adventure, preferably alive with him, and then do something new.
Retire him out.
Yeah.
Let him go entertain children with his kiwis.
Mm-hmm.
With old kiwis. I'm a big fan of bringing back returning characters for like one-shots and stuff too.
Yeah.
So like I bring a lot of my home game characters back if we're just gonna do some goofy 1 or 2 session thing. So that would probably be what I would bring back Sawyer for the most, like realistically, unless we wanted to bring back the entire group of characters again.
Gotcha. Because I mean, as of right now, okay, you all made it back, and like your characters are now part of the lore of that world, or like
Yeah.
you're creating your story in the Feywild of Prismere. So, like, people will start to who knows, maybe you'll run into Sir Talavar somewhere. You know,
Pig,
I
love
just-
that little guy.
Just have a statue of me in some future campaign, and I'll be happy.
To kind of, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just like the bards all talk about you, and like your colorless eyes and like tales about you are told. I can see it
Scary
now.
eyes, but the bright smile. To bounce off of that question, Aiden was asking if after this campaign is over, do we see each other doing another campaign together? Not necessarily bringing these characters back, but I think our lovely DM has a great answer to that.
He has something he wants to run versus who's the players, but yeah.
Yeah, Rob, what do you got planned?
Wait, I thought you were
Oh,
talking about
you.
you.
Sir,
Yeah, you.
you are the DM tonight.
Yes. Remember, if we say Rob, we're talking about you. If we say Rog, we're talking.
Oh, I get
Yeah, that's true.
confused.
I
no,
refuse to change my nameplate.
I absolutely would run or play anything with you guys. Like, I feel like our group has a very good chemistry. Nothing against any of the other players, and like, I'm not opposed to adding players. Obviously, we added Misfit.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like once you have that group of people, like, you know, the chemistry is good with them. You don't want to mess with it too much. You don't want to add too many people, because then you run the risk of everything being sidetracked all the time and not getting like those accomplishments done.
Yeah, I played in a campaign that had 11 players at one point, and it's a lot.
Cow. I would say
don't
probably
know.
4 is my max.
I don't know that this is exactly the question that was asked, or if it's subtext, or if it is just useful to know. But Aiden, if this is really one of your first introductions to D&D, whatever happens D&D wise going forward, we're going to be friends. We're going to hang out and do stuff and see each other at work and whatnot. I mean, D&D has a very unique capacity for bringing people very closely together. When I got married, my wedding party was my D&D group. And that was over a very short period of time. There is something ineffable, something magic about putting the real world aside for a little while and playing with your imaginations as adults. That is huge.
There's a lot of trust you have to put in other people very quickly when you start a D&D campaign of any sort. So I would say 9 times out of 10, you're going to stay being very, very close to everyone that you're playing with, as long as, like we said, we have a really good back and forth with everyone.
I think,
I
Maddie,
started.
you and I are a really good example here because we literally didn't talk to each other before playing on the channel, and now here we are.
Yeah, no, it's like
Rob and I also
we-
didn't
we
talk
were-
to each other before playing on the channel.
We didn't.
I really am thankful for the people I've gotten to know because of the stream. Just because I've admired Ty's work for a very long time, and being able to play with her and actually get to know her and find out how similar we are and how we have the same sense of humor is really cool.
Yeah.
That's
So we
really
can do
cool.
our tall and small.
Yeah.
All and small.
Tall and
Tall and
small.
tall and small.
It's
Single
it's
single
our
brain cell.
brand.
It is our brand, really.
So, coming up with voices and how characters talk has been kind of difficult for me. I forget what it was, but like, oh yeah, you need voices, and like even people, my friends, like, oh yeah, you need to do voices. I was like, I don't know how to do voices. I can't do that. I've been working on this hag's voice, like.
Oh.
With her being the youngest, I don't have to sound like a crotchety old lady. So hopefully it turns out the way that I'm trying to develop. Like, I'm probably gonna step off the book a little bit for her, but
I
Attaboy.
love that.
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
I love
Yeah.
voices.
I love doing weird voices, but that's also definitely difficult and not a thing for everybody. So like, you definitely don't have to do a certain accent, like even just changing the tone and the pitch of your voice or the way that you speak, like maybe throwing in, like if the character's supposed to be dumber, use some simple words versus if they're supposed to be smart, using some bigger words, or like, like maybe some of them just talk like this all the time and others of them talk like this all the time, like
Yeah.
you can do
There's
little things without needing to do crazy voices, and I feel like you've dipped into that recently, Rob, especially with your little southern rocky voice.
Oh my god, that was so good.
There are
To bounce
yeah.
off of that, I feel like with a lot of the more popular D&D shows right now, a lot of people feel like there's an expectation to do ridiculous voices.
Yeah.
And then you have to remember that a lot of popular D&D shows have people who have experience acting and voice acting and know how to do those voices and have training.
Yeah.
So while voices are fun, and I have learned a lot of accents and voices by doing D&D, it's not a requirement. I don't think anyone should feel less than or like they aren't as good of a player or a DM because they can't do all of the voices.
You don't even have to speak in character. Like, you don't even have to say you can say this is what they say. Say they tell you this, or they communicate this, or when they speak with a gravelly, deep voice, or when they sound like Clint Eastwood, or they sound like David Spade, and that's good enough.
I think if anybody watches Critical Role, Taliesin with Molly is a great example because that was supposed to be Irish and that quickly was not Irish. So that's fine. You don't have to do an accent. Like, if you want to challenge yourself with an accent, especially maybe for like a one shot, by all means, that's the perfect chance to try it, But like, if you're uncomfortable, if you think it's going to hinder you in the long term to get into roleplay, then you don't have to do it. You can talk like yourself. So.
I like Icy's point of thinking about posture can also really impact voice. And like I said earlier, I spend a lot of my character building time in my car when I'm driving to work or just driving somewhere. And I will catch myself hunching or leaning back as I'm driving.
I will like character. Like if I'm trying to get to a new character voice or something like that, I will like think in my head to myself, talking through, like if I'm working on a costume, like let's use Bessie as an example, where like if I'm sewing and stuff, it'll in my head just be like, all right, I got the pen to things right now, and like it'll be like I'll hear it in my head and know, okay, this is how all these different words would sound. Like,
I do that a lot when I'm getting into costume too. If I'm
Mhm.
cosplaying, like when I start to get into Jester, I'm like, all right, so now I'm gonna put on my glasses, and they'll look really cute. And it comes naturally to some people, and I usually have to practice a lot before I feel confident doing a voice. Or I'll steal another voice that I'm good at and I'll tweak it, like a little thief.
There is
So-
a question from Evelyn May in chat. Were you going that way, or
Yep, I sure was.
Go for it. Go for it.
Evelyn May asks, is there anyone else in the Misty Mountain adventure community that you really want to do a game with?
I want to play with April again.
I was about to say I
Yeah.
want to do like a Taylor Swift inspired game with April because she
how
and
would
I
you
are the
play a
resident
Taylor Swift
Swifties.
inspired game?
Okay, there is someone
Tell
who
me.
has made a long shot story where, so as we all know, Taylor Swift is re-recording her albums because they were taken from her and sold away.
As we all know.
And she
Yeah,
she doesn't
we all
she doesn't own her masters. So that means she doesn't have a say as to how those songs that she wrote from age 14 into her 20s are what are done with them. And she's currently re-recording to get the ownership of that back. So someone has taken that and put it into a D&D adventure where there is a bard who has lost her songs.
Mm.
And you go through
Oh.
and it's all themed off of different albums and songs of Taylor's. And you go off to rescue this bard's collection of songs.
This is what you
And,
need to run.
That, yeah.
I think it's really cool, and I just want to talk Taylor with April more than the few tweets we have back and forth.
It
And
sounds
honestly,
like the next
all
Wednesday
of the
night
adventures,
game.
though, all of the adventurers, I've seen so many OCs that they've made as cosplays and different designs, and they all seem really cool. So I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I
I
really
am
like a
also
lot of their designs.
put spotlight on one particular person because Evelyn may be one of my players for the puzzle room. I'm excited to see Evelyn on the channel.
Oh,
I
So-
really want to have Eric Bra back when I don't make his character for him. I want to see what he is excited to play, because when he came on before, he was this really awesome voice actor who came on to play, who could have been the villain of the piece and who wound up aiding the party. And we've talked many times. I'm on his Tuesday night Twitch stream about as often as not about how that was weird. I mean, not bad, but coming into someone's D&D game, playing exactly who you're told to play. And I want to have a mulligan. I want to do that over again and let him have creative freedom.
Daddy, I just had a thought.
What?
Remember how we want to do girl gang?
Like you help somebody, all the drunk girls help somebody crying in the girls' bathroom.
Yeah.
That could be your bard game.
Oh, I'm gonna take little bits and pieces of all the things we've been talking about, and maybe
could
that
be-
will
that
be
could
what
be
I
the girl crying
DM
in the-
eventually.
That could be the girl crying in the bathroom with somebody who needs her music brought back.
Oh my god, and there's a lyric Taylor has about that
Of course
too.
there is. What about you, Rob?
Honestly, I think I'm gonna say this, and I already know the repercussion I'm gonna get. I kind of would like to just play a game eventually. Like I said, I've only ever played once, and I
tried inviting you.
know, and that's what I thought I was gonna get, but
Hey man, you're still welcome to play in the puzzle game if you want. Whenever we get the time specifically nailed down, I'm gonna
So
make the group
the
chat.
thing
and
that I
in.
got is I just don't have time to dedicate. If I could do it if I wasn't already dedicated to Wednesday nights running. Thursdays and Fridays are pretty much already just off the schedule for me. So that leaves
We
Mondays and Tuesdays to hang out with my wife.
You don't
So-
have. I'm very excited for you to do a Spelljammer thing or whatever you have next. But if you need to take a couple of weeks or take a couple of months,
Yeah.
and
I was
play.
about to say I can, when we're done with this one, I can take over Wednesday night and extend the puzzle game to be a little longer, like a mini campaign, and you can play in it.
I mean, that might be something to do. Like, I don't know. I'm really enjoying being a DM, and I think maybe spending the time like getting the next story and like preparing that and improving on what I've learned might be a better use of time. But I maybe eventually like I'll jump in and because I feel like it's got to be a
You know,
captivating story.
if the alternative is spending time with your wife, you just need to play with your wife.
Hey, wife?
Anna on
I
stream.
would-
Anna on stream.
I would so happily run for Anna. Okay, I
She
love
has
Anna.
a computer. I've got her a laptop. It has a webcam. She's got Discord now.
See,
She
I failed to see the
100%
problem.
Can
I
play
think
some
we found a
D&D.
solution here.
Yeah, right?
Girl
Yeah.
gang.
Problem solve here on Misty Mountain
Yeah.
Streaming.
What we
we're
really need to do is make
volunteering-
your wife too busy to spend time with you, and then you're
We're volunteering you to play
No,
D&D
Anna
on
needs all her
stream.
free time for crafts.
Yes.
Anna does. She does need free time for crafts. Need free time for crafts.
See, Rob as a PC would be rad, says Sprinkle. I agree. I asked. I tried.
He did ask.
You were
I just
one of the first people I asked.
and I appreciate this. I don't want to overcommit and let people down, especially in
is
my mental state right
Very
now.
fair. That is very fair. As someone who says yes to everything all the time, always, on
was-
the opposite end of that spectrum,
It was
take
very
advantage
hard
of your
to
free
say no.
time and enjoy it.
But I did come back with you. I was like, I got people. I will reach out. You let me know.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I eventually I'll get to play, and if you guys get a game going, and Rob, I don't know if we need to get Anna in to the adventurer program, like, or whatever, but she has Discord. Yeah. So anyway, that's a conversation for
The adventurer program is rapidly becoming not a factor on being on the stream, if you haven't noticed. But with Dan coming in on whatever days and Rose coming in on another day, and
social media.
who is it?
I also have been in contact.
Eric coming
about
in
some of
here
the days,
on
so
Fridays.
we're figuring out days, but we'll talk about it as a party. But he's just asking what days are.
Why'd you
Thank you,
just
J-Mail.
scream at me? Why'd you scream at me?
I
Look at just belly. Oh,
don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, look at that chub. Look at all that. Yeah, I'm gonna feel all your chub, your love handles. Oh yeah.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that. But I think that I've forgotten to shout out, but the 2 majestic beards for the Robs.
Thank you.
Well, thank
you.
you.
It's being weird today, but it's soft.
I'm getting
Conditioner's working.
some Viking beard braids for Ren Fair.
Oh, nice.
We got
nice.
we got Ren Fair coming up in October, and it's the Viking invasion weekend. So I'm gonna try and
That's so cool.
braid the beard. We'll see.
Does anybody in the chat, by the way, have a great suggestion of another D&D creator that is live right now that we could or should raid? Because Fabled 42 is live. We do them quite a bit, but if you know a new creator or a smaller creator that's around, we'd love to show love to a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Let me see what I got.
If we're starting to wrap up, just a question for all of us and the chat. It's a very simple D&D question, but I always love to hear everybody's answers. Is what is your favorite race class combo?
I thought you were going to say, what is your favorite die? And I was going to present the oft-forgotten D12.
Also, your favorite die. I am very partial to the little cube.
I like D4s, but only when they're fun shapes like this.
Yeah.
And my favorite race, it's tieflings, and I especially love rogues and any type of magic user.
I like all elves, and either clerics or druids are my go-to.
Here's
I like short boys, so I like halfling rogues. I know that's a bit standard, but I love them.
I really like dwarf culture, and I always am like the DPS, so I would say like a barbarian of some
Very
sort.
nice. Sheepy
Um,
says that Dungeon Crawlers is doing a charity stream, so maybe we should raid them.
Is it charity stream?
Oh, that's a
that's
cool
for the
pin.
Trevor project.
Right?
Wait, oh,
It's
okay.
a
The Dungeon
heart.
Crawlers
Yeah.
is. Okay, I'm good with Dungeon Scrawlers. We've done them before. They've got a lot of people over there. Y'all will have people to hang out
Trevor
with.
Project's an awesome charity.
I was gonna say
too.
that or Realmsmith. They're running. It looks like they're on episode 3 of a Tales of the Wasted West.
Yeehaw.
I personally would go with the one that's doing a charity stream. but-
Charity, yeah.
Seems fair enough. Let's do-
Agreed. Well, guys, while Rob's getting that ready, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Misfit.
Yeah.
If you're still here, I hope you're safe.
Yes.
Continue
Everyone
to keep
send
us
your love to
updated
Forrest.
as things are happening. But it was fun, like a nice little recap and like getting like character details and stuff that you might not have otherwise. It's a reality. We could be finished with the Witchlight adventure by the end of the year.
Session 30. I remember putting my
Place your
bets on
bets.
session 30.
Yeah,
I think I said like 46 or something. I'm gonna stick with that.
I think I said 50.
When you say, "Oh yeah, by the end of the year," that's a lot. That's like 10 to 12 more sessions, and you get the holidays mixed in there.
Yeah.
So like it's wrapping up, but it's been fun, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the end.
Yeah.
But it will be the end for Cheshire.
Yes. And maybe the dawn of a halfling rogue. We'll see.
Hey, there we go.
But
Real quick, thank you so much. Yeah.
Reminding people, Friday night, your wonderful community moderator, the Existential Nerd, and I will be playing Divinity 2 again. That will also be the last day for the leather tray giveaway for the followers coming in with us together. We only have a few to go. I think 5 followers before the end
We
of
have
Friday.
One last little check of strength.
A strength? Oh,
Before we
yeah,
go.
what about this? I got this. I got this.
That
Your
will-
strength is actually not that high, but she's good at that.
Yeah, that's a 12 for me.
That is
19.
So if you
7 because I have a negative in it.
if you have anybody to send our way by then, you or them may be able to win a leather tray off of me. The giveaway will happen on Monday's stream when we are playing D&D once again.
And we're about to do a bunch of cool October Halloween spooky stuff, so keep an eye on the stream.
Yes, thank
For
you.
sure.
Good call. Yep, just wanted to get that out. You can keep going, Rob.
But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We do greatly appreciate it. I know we didn't necessarily play D&D this week, but you guys still showed up and you showed the support. We had good conversation. Why is my phone going crazy? I got an Apple Watch yesterday, and like it's
I
my
saw
first
that,
one.
flirting
and
with your wrist there.
It's just like vibrating, and I don't know
I
what's
love
going
my
on.
Apple Watch. You gotta mess with the notifications. Then.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding out. But as always, any fan art is also like greatly welcomed. We'll add it to the reel.
That'd be Cheshire Rob.
Our party is working on a surprise mid-roll for the Witchlight. That you guys will have to stay tuned for to get that. But yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we
Thanks
will.
for listening to our ramble.
Yeah, we just rambled.
And our
it's fine.
soapboxes and our goofy
So-
jokes.
Truth.
The
I like your-
horns finally got here.
Finally,
You
yes.
can't just flash those. You gotta show them off.
I realize I don't
Oh.
know what I'm gonna do with these because first of all, these sit up here on my big stupid head, so we're gonna have to modify some stuff. Also, they were gonna be hard to wear with these headphones, so we might do a different Bluetooth thing. We'll see. Oh, that
guys.
raid is happening on its own. Shit.
Oh.
It had such
Have
a
a great
long
night,
timer.
everyone.
Bye.
We love
Bye.
you. See you Friday.
Bye.